Yeah, save that for your rage quit.
Yes. All right, so I've hit the live button. I'm waiting for the green light to come up on YouTube here. All right, Rob Inman says, hello. Hold on, folks. Kiss the next 4 hours of your life goodbye. Cue broken soundboard. This train wreck is about to start.
Obviously, he's watched the show before.
Okay. We've got a subject matter expert in our audience here, I see. All right, well, we're live. The light is green. The faces are shining and bright here in the panel. It is time to start the... let's see if this is the right button here.
Have we...
No, that is not the right button.
Have we lowered our standards yet?
Have we lowered our standards? It really depends on what your camera is focusing on there, Richard Lorbieski. We're not looking at your sack or anything, are we?
No, that's my USB camera.
All right, let's see if we have the right button here.
Some might say yes.
Let's try this button right here. All right, the train wreck is about to begin. Let's go. Nick Marota's in the audience. This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. Streaming live on YouTube and Roku, available as a podcast and enjoyed the world over. And now, here's your host. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to CoCoTALK episode 79, the world's leading train wreck that appears before you live each week. We have got a wonderful show lined up for you. We've got a really big show. We've got a great live audience already out here with us. We've got Ken Reichert, most well known as being the brother of Jason Reichert. We've got Rob Inman out here. We've got Chad Cunnington, who is Nick's neighbor. We've got Al Hartman, Curtis Boyle, Rob Inman, Tim Franklin is here, Nick Marota is here, Solstice is here, Al Hartman is here, Nick Marota is here, Chad is here from Australia. So we got a couple of Aussies here who are at 4 a.m. right now, DEF CON 4 a.m. in Australia. Thank you guys for being here so late or so early, depending on your perspective. We've also got with us in the live panel, we've got Ron Delvaux at Mission Control, making sure the world is safe from alien invaders. Thank you, Ron, for running Space Force X for us.
Good,
we've got Davey Mitchell just joined us. We have from Canada, we've got L. Curtis Boyle. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, that is the Curtis Boyle. Buenas tardes to you, senor. We have with us legendary game designer, a guy who always says
thank you. Yes, you're too kind, and thank you.
We have got Mr. Rick Adams with us this afternoon. Hello, Rick. How are you?
He's only a legend in his own mind. Thank you. You're too kind.
The kindness is all yours, sir. We've got with us from Down Under, we've got Nicholas Marentes. Good day, Nick.
Good day, everyone.
We have with us, as seen at PenFest 99 and 2000, at CorksCon, Hamvention, CoCoFest 2018, maker of the Switcheroo and brother of Ken Reichert, we've got Jason, the Coco Man Reichert, with us today.
CoCoTALK, take only as directed.
If CoCoTALK lasts for more than 4 hours, please consult your physician. We have got with us Mr. Nice Guy himself from Boyson Technologies. Mr. Richard Lorbieski is with us. Good afternoon, Richard.
Yeah, still here. Where's the reset button?
Last but certainly not least, the Madman, Simon Jonassen, is with us. Hello, Simon.
He's also competing with David Ladd these days with floppies.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's our new floppy master, huh? So, all right, so we're here. It's another week. We have an intense itinerary, a very detailed and thorough plan for what we're going to talk about today. And what's the topic, guys?
and that part's done. So on to the next.
Color computer.
Sorry, I must have the wrong link on.
We got Al Hartman from Jersey in the house. How you doing, Al? Nick Marota is here. We're here. We're all here. Davey Mitchell's here. David Mitchell. So we've got some Dragon representation here too, some UK representation. We got Europe, we've got Canada, we've got Australia, We've got Jersey. I think all the bases have been covered.
We have a Roku update.
We have a Roku update. And what's that?
We are on Roku.
We are on Roku. So according to Mission Control, sorry, this just in, my producer in the booth has told me we're live on Roku. Thank you, Ron Delvaux. These are the important things that make life worth living. So, so I'll tell you what I've done in the CoCo hobby this week. 2 things: Jack and squat. And Jack left town. I've done nothing CoCo all week long. I've been a CoCo slacker. Anyone else done better than me this week?
I think Jack visited me because I did the big food.
Simon's been busy. Simon's been showing us some pictures of madness, some disc loading and whatnot. Ron Delvaux, you been on Facebook at all this week, Ron?
I have a couple of times, once or twice. And in fact, I just did a picture last night of Uranus. And it was successfully posted.
Isn't that getting a little bit personal there, Ron?
On my Delvaux Observatory Facebook group.
Yes.
If you're interested, sometime you can go look at Uranus.
If anybody wants to see pictures
maybe
of
yours, but not mine. Okay.
Well,
you just offended Simon Jonassen right off the screen.
Talks ago. So
Next week I'll have the full colonoscopy on there. But
I did take a picture of the moon also, but Uranus always gets a little bit more oomph.
I think Ron's on
I'm sure
After
the
Dark
movie was
already.
involved.
Yeah.
Al Hartman says, I tested a bunch of CoCo 2s prior to start listing them on eBay. Okay, so that's Al Hartman's week in the CoCo hobby.
CoCo
CoCo 2. CoCo Do. Le CoCo Do. CoCo Do de Radio Shack. That's about the only part of that song I know.
Oh, and for David Ladd, here is 8 MPI slots in view.
They're not all on one CoCo though. So
What's David been up to lately?
Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff.
Thanks, David. We just heard from David Ladd there. I heard a little bit of
David Ladd.
We're well oiled today, aren't we?
Oh, we are. Nick Marentes, you been banging away at the keyboard on Funstar for us lately?
No. What I've been doing is just creating my map editor for Gunstar. So that's where I have a series of tiles, background tiles I create. And this allows me to just arrange them and define the background texture that you'll see scrolling down the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little basic programmer utility. So just about finished writing the program, so I'm about to be artistic and start laying out the tiles and come up with some background for it.
Do you know how big your map's going to be? Like, have you got a plan as to how much before it repeats?
I haven't calculated because it can be as large as I allocate RAM, but I'm trying to see how big it would be if I allocate an 8K memory block. How big the map would be. I might need to allocate 2 or 3 or whatever, but yeah, I'm trying to keep it compact as well. So I'll work it out while we're on the show. I can probably I might be able to announce it later.
Okay.
It's not hard to work out.
All right, well, we got a couple of questions in the live chat about are we going to have an assembly segment today, because the next assembly segment was going to get into some code demonstrations, and today, much to all of our dismay, we are not going to have a segment in assembly language. Steve Bjork was unable to get all of his material prepared for us, and so we will not have lesson 11 in assembly. However, we have plenty of people here in the panel who know a thing or two about assembly, so maybe we could still get some assembly knowledge and wisdom to be passed around. But another question that I believe Nick Marotta was asking in the live chat was, how does Long Branch Never work, and do you have to have MAME installed? And so to answer some of your questions, Nick, well, Long Branch Never is designed to very quickly launch programs directly into VCC, but there is a batch file that you can modify, and I have modified that batch file to have the ability to output to VCC, MAME, and XROAR. So they're just different arguments you do when you launch that command script. So you type in asem space the name of your source code space the name of the emulator, and it will launch it and mount it or push it over to whatever emulator you want. So, and I've tested all 3 emulators, and it works in all of them. So technically, you can use it with any emulator. However, the Lesson 1 shows you specifically how to install it and get it working with VCC, because that's the one that takes the least amount of work to hit the ground running as far as just getting an emulator up. So hopefully that answers your question, Nick Morota. And the links to all that stuff are in that video. So if you go over to Paul Fiscarelli's channel for the Long Branch Never, the first episode really walks you through setting that up. And
Speaking of VCC, has there been any updates on the guy that's been doing the changing it to be cross-platform and updating it, fixing bugs, etc.? I know he posted some stuff a few weeks ago, but I haven't had a chance to keep caught up.
I'm not sure. The only one I saw was a little while ago. Mark Overholzer had shared a link where he showed how he was using SDL. And so he had it outputting to 2 windows at once, where he had the Windows graphics engine and the SDL graphic engines kind of simulcasting on the screen. So he was showing he could port the graphics engine over to the more open source API, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, my plan was, before this show that we're on right now started, I was hoping to finish the next chapter of Long Branch Never, and I just spent too much time playing Minecraft, so I just didn't have time to do that. So priorities, right? So I did start watching it this morning. It's a long episode. It's like a little over an hour, so I didn't have time to really properly devote my brain power to it. So I'll try to do that this weekend. And I'm going to start on the book. I've got the Barden book right here. It's right in front of my screen. It's right here. So every time I sit down, it's here to remind me, dude, you got to start assembling, right? So I'm going to start learning. I like to go through at least a chapter of the Barden book and see how I like it, and then figure out how I'm going to translate that to a YouTube video. Solstice says, I wonder whether this only works with the machine language files, or whether I can also specify a basic program file spec. Are we talking about the Long Branch Never environment? Well, does anybody know if Toolshed should let you push a basic program over too? Shouldn't it?
Pretty sure it does.
Yeah,
I've done it personally.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could push over basic with Toolshed too. However, the batch file that Paul Fiscarelli set up is really geared towards assembly for the time being, but I think it's probably able to be done. What else? Anybody do anything CoCo related this week they want to share?
Well, I've been doing the build up to Tandy assembly for the switcheroos. And potential to have something new at Tandy assembly if all goes well.
Ooh, something new. That'd be cool.
You mean a product that will actually work?
No, I think you're getting me confused with someone else.
Yeah, because as far as I know, every switcheroo that was ever shipped never had to be reshipped. Everybody got just one switcheroo cable. So, hey, Greg is here. What's going on, Greg? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Grant Lady in Hot Pursuit. Greg, do you hear us? How are you?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Good. Hey, Grant, look in your rearview mirror. All right. Law enforcement. So. In the parking garage even. He's getting chased in the parking garage. Jesus, Grant. Easy on that pedal.
Maybe he thinks you're Canadian and you're bringing some illegal weed across the border.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or some Tim Hortons. Smuggling Tim Hortons across state lines.
So what's the topic today, guys?
That's a great question. We're still trying to figure that out. The topic was what we're going to do without Greg, but Greg showed up, so we're saved.
They're back. Now we're back with nothing to talk about. So.
We have the no theme.
Yes.
I'm still here.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've had a couple weeks now without any Apple IIs in the background since Mark Overholzer has been previously indisposed. Oh. So, yeah, we've been Apple-free for at least 2 weeks now. I'm not sure how everybody feels about that. If anybody needs a moment of silence or a hug or anything like that. So
now we're finally raising our standards.
Simon, what do you got there?
Oh, we have police activity.
Commodore 64 personal computer. That's not the bread bin one, though, right? That's is that a 64C?
Yeah, that's a 64C, yeah.
Was that the one that was overrun by ants for a period?
No, that's a spare machine. The one that's overrun by ants has been put in a safe place.
It's in an ant-free zone.
Yes, it is. And I'll tell you what, even though I cleaned it out, they kept crawling out for a couple of days afterwards because they're obviously stuck under the chips.
Wow.
And it really smelled because, you know, when ants get like freaked out, they put out pheromones and stuff.
I did not know that.
So it reeked for days on end.
Ant pheromones. So does that mean like they were horny or something, or what?
Yeah.
You sure that smell didn't have to do with the Commodore itself versus the ant?
I think that's the show title, Ant Pheromones.
Ant pheromones. Those ants were getting all boned up over that SID chip. Grinding their little antennas up against that chip there. All right. So... ant pheromones. I never knew an ant to have an odor, but now we know. And knowing is half the battle. So, hashtag horny ants. Rob Inman says.
Oh my God.
Oh dear God, we've already gone straight into the crapper right there. Hey, Paul Fiscarelli just joined us. Hey, Paulie, it's Paulie Walnuts here, everybody. And we got Paulie, we got Petey, we got Joey 2 times. Got to get the papers, Yeah, so we got everybody here. The good fellas are all with us. Grant Leedy's in hot pursuit. And it's all good. So, Simon, you want to share with us, if either verbally or visually or anything else, some of the madness you've been working on, or is it still kind of under wraps?
No, it's not under wraps as such. I mean, I had Ron Delvaux test it the other day. Ron, you tested the disk loader the other day, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. But since you tested the other day, I've actually rewritten it a couple of times. Where I'm not relying on the 4-to-1 interleave. I'm actually turning around saying, okay, well, yes, I might have a 4-to-1 interleave, but I'm taking so much time in between sectors playing music that I need to figure out a different interleave. So maybe I'm doing 8 sectors in between each load, so it's like half a track per sector or something, just to get it kosher.
Yeah, to sync it with the 300 RPM.
Yeah. So basically half a track per sector to load with 2-voice music playing at 7.8 kilohertz.
This sounds highly mathematical to me already. My head's about ready to explode.
Yeah, well, mine's exploded multiple times.
Hey, Richard Lorbieski, you still there?
Yes.
Okay, in the live chat, I'm not sure if you saw this, but registration, I love that name, registration. He says, listening to CoCoTALK and trying to install the boomerang. Unfortunately, I do not have any tools to remove the RAM chips or clip caps. Are there any household tools that I can use to get this done?
To remove the chips would be a small screwdriver.
Yeah, like a jeweler's screwdriver or something.
Yeah, something like that. As far as clipping the caps,
toenail clippers worked for me.
Yeah, toenail clippers would work.
Pair of scissors on one leg.
Yep.
The Coco Cat number 1 has joined us. I don't know if anybody else has any furry critters with them. So, how's Rocky doing, Jason? And is Rocky nearby? We don't have Mark here for any of his critters. Ron, you got your critter with you by any chance, or is Pearl out somewhere else?
No, she's outside with my wife. They're doing raking the stones.
Raking the stones.
Yeah, we have stones over here. We don't have any grass.
It's too expensive to maintain grass in Arizona.
Yeah, raking the stones.
Hey,
unless you're a golf course.
This is another website called Redshift.
Uh-huh.
And
wasn't that a
Scott
TV
Carter
show? Wasn't it like a UK TV show?
Yeah. No, this has to do with he does stuff with SETI.
Yeah, search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
And he has a radio telescope.
Okay.
The red shift, blue shift stuff.
I'd be happy just to find some terrestrial intelligence on certain days. So
Yeah, just days ending with Y.
All right, so this is there we go. There's a kitty. Hello, kitty. So we got 2 cats. We're now at a two cat show. All right. So this is a SETI-based
website. Yeah.
Website. It's a website, or is it a BBS?
No, yeah, I'm telnetting to it.
You're telnetting to it. Okay. All right. And have you been able to hack into Area 51 and get any of the plans for the UFOs or anything like that?
No, I tried to fudge it so it looks like he got one of those messages from Andromeda, but you know, where they put wow next to it.
Yeah, the wow signal.
Yeah. Oh well.
Never fudge with another man's signal.
Yeah.
Words to live by. Okay. Yeah, we have officially become an internet cat video now at this time. So,
I've been playing with my 386 in the XT cabinet. Well, it's not an XT cabinet, is it? I don't know.
It could be an AT or XTK. It's kind of hard to see from this distance here, but yeah.
Anyway, the battery was one of those tub things, and I had to desolder it, and I put another battery on it, but the connection came loose, so it's, you boot it up and you have to go through the BIOS and set it all up again.
Yeah. So like one of those little barrel-looking batteries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I wonder how hard it'd be to put in one of those sockets to use one of the lithium batteries.
Yeah. Or even they have those ones where you can put the AA batteries in. Anyway, it's not CoCo related, but...
Well, it would be if you booted up DOS and ran Jeff Vasasor's CoCo emulator.
Yeah.
Or you could log into OS9 with it and use it as a terminal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully Reggie is going to get some good advice here on how to not screw up his computer. Just remember that always consult a physician before performing surgery on your color computer. Grant, you do anything CoCo related this week?
No, nothing for me this week. Just wrapping up my last week of working a lot of hours. So
Yeah.
I'll be getting back into the swing of things here next week.
Excellent.
Theoretically, that's going to happen with me too. I'll be out of work, but they keep saying that and they keep dumping more on me. So,
well, it looks like we have some new activity in the Facebook. I didn't prepare news just because I didn't. But yeah, we've got some new members in Facebook. There's some new activity. There's a handful of questions. As a matter of fact, you mentioned a question in the mailing list this week, Curtis, but I think also came up, a similar question came up in Facebook. So what was the mailing list question? Like, does anybody still have their first CoCo, like their original CoCo?
Yeah, the very first one they ever owned, and what was it type thing. So we had people saying, I had a CoCo 1D board with 4K, I still have it. And other people, started with a CoCo 3 or whatever. I know in my personal case, I don't have my original 4K D board CoCo. During one of my moves between 2 different apartment buildings, it actually got crushed and the circuit board literally cracked right in half. So I had to toss that one.
Here's my first computer.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a MC10. Rendezvous with the MC10.
Yep. This came later, but we started out with 4K.
Yeah. Paul Fiscarelli's mentioning that Long Branch Never Part 2 has been posted. I actually started working on that this morning, Paul, but it was late in the day and I didn't have time to really fully devote my brain cells to it. Okay, so here's Simon. So Color Computer Do. Is this your original, Simon? Okay, so Simon's got his original CoCo.
Is that a lowercase one too?
Yeah, it's a T1. It's a Korean model. Originally,
fancy one.
But now
I still have my original CoCo in the box.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I got rid of my original CoCo when it was still my original because I had the 16K silver. And then when I got the 64K white, I ended up selling mine to a friend. I actually did my own buy here, pay here, like in-house financing, where I'm like, I know you can't afford to pay me all at once, but just pay me weekly, and I'll finance it out to you until you pay it off. So I sold mine because I had the super duper 64K white CoCo. But yeah, there would be.
I rescued mine from found it in my parents' garage, I don't know, about 6 months ago, and been working on to get it working again. And but it originally started out as 16K color basic, and then we had it sent out back in the day to get the extended color basic, and the maxed out at 64K.
Ooh.
But it's complete with melted keyboard, and I mean, it does come up now, but the colors are all off, and I haven't gotten back to that project yet, but I've had some good suggestions on getting that resolved. It's one of many projects, I would guess, post-Tandy assembly type project at this point.
Yeah, I don't have any of my original stuff. You say you have yours, Curtis?
Nope. No, my original D-board got cracked. I do have my original multi-pack. I have some other original cards from that era, but the CoCo itself didn't survive the one move.
Yeah.
The CoCo 3, the same move survived fine, so I still have that one, but my CoCo 1 original is long gone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that regret saying, I coulda, shoulda, woulda if I had kept my old stuff, So it's nice to
have it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I'm happy I have old stuff. It's just not my original old stuff, but I have plenty of old stuff. So it's still nice to have the original hardware, but there's got to be something a little bit more sentimental when it's yours. Like, this was my original, actual physical computer. The first thing I ever touched that gave me joy.
This is my original copy of Bust Out.
Yeah. So I would settle for just somewhere finding my old floppies. I don't know if they just made it to a garbage heap back in 1990 something, or if maybe they're circulating the multiverse somewhere and I end up buying an estate sale and I get my floppies back by some miracle. But if I didn't have the original hardware, I would love to have my original floppies just to see the kind of crap I was coming up. Holy crap, Simon Jonassen. That's something there that would make David Ladd very excited looking at all those floppies. So.
I'm very fortunate. I have my original floppies, or most of them, I think, and a lot of the cassette tapes, but I've gone through some of the floppies, and that was actually where I found some of the stuff my brother wrote, and I got that to him. And one of those adventure games has managed to he's released, so that was pretty cool. So
yeah,
I'm hoping maybe some of that other stuff will get finished or polished up and go out eventually. That would be really cool. So
yeah. Rick Adams was showing up some of his Shanghai stuff. Delphi term 8.0. Look at that. Look at the blue floppy. That was pretty fancy.
Later, I think.
Yeah, having colored floppy jackets. That's
I've still got most of my original floppies too, and most of them still work. There's a lot of code I have to pull off there. There's a lot of games that I got to put on the website. I got to put on there too. So.
What do you got here, Simon?
It looks like a floppy drive. A half-height 40-track double-sided, I'm guessing.
No, I've been looking for a 1.44 floppy for my 386, and I thought I had one, but I didn't. I don't have one. And
this is an original 360K drive from back in.
I would love to have one of those.
Right back in the day. This is what I'm actually watching my loader because I've got the top. I'm watching the head go.
Yeah.
Well,
the dreaded sound of a floppy you can't read where it just grinds its way into oblivion.
Yeah. And with the old CoCo RS-DOS, they would smash and it'd stop every time, too.
I.O. error.
I've been fortunate. I'd say about 99% of the floppies I've tried have worked, and I've had a few that didn't work initially, and I was able just to, the inner part, the media was stuck, and I was able to loosen up, to stick my fingers in there and move it around a little bit. And
wow.
I've been very, very fortunate.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've got probably a couple of thousand of diskettes, and all of them seem to be working. There's a rare case where every once in a while one.
We got two predictions where David Ladd is right now, because I'm playing all these David Ladd sound bites. Everybody's predicting if David was here to hear it, but either he's at McDonald's or Taco Bell. So there are predictions on where David is spending his time right now. One of his two favorite dining locations.
So my first color computer was silver with the chiclet keys, CoCo 1, with 4K. And the first thing I did with that was type in a basic program from Rainbow and got about 4K in and then ran out of memory. I said, well, that sucks. So I did a piggyback memory upgrade, except, I was not very sure of myself. So I got, somebody gave me some 4K, another set of 4K chips. So I piggybacked 4K on 4K so that I could have 8K, which was kind of a stupid thing to do, but it was like, I didn't know if I was going to kill it or what. So I tried that, and I had 8K, but 8K wasn't enough either. So then somebody got me some 16K chips, I think, so I piggybacked those for 32. And that's what I developed Temple of Ram on, and eventually the power supply died, and I probably threw it away.
Wow. So the CoCo would recognize 8K, even though it was kind of a non-standard number for how they were sold. It would recognize it. Another question.
I did the stack 16K version to 32K myself, too, because I went from 4K to 16. Then I had extended. Oh, these are all separate times, not at the same time. And then upgraded by a 16K stacked. And that's when I discovered there was a program in Rainbow that did an animated umbrella in 3D. And it had 18 P mode 0 pages that it would cycle through. And that's when I found out the stack chips, the video signal couldn't go between the two chunks. So anything past the first 16K would just get garbage. That's when I finally decided I better upgrade to proper 64K.
Now, whether or not that 8K actually worked or not, I mean, I brought it up. It says, oh, it's there. It seems to work. Great, I didn't kill it. And then I didn't, do anything with it past that. So I could have run across trouble, a little further down the line if I would have actually tried to use it. But I didn't, actually. I just, oh, it's good. I didn't kill it. Great. And I ripped that out and did something else.
Wow. Yeah, you might be one of the few people that on history that's recorded as having an 8K CoCo, because that's definitely an unusual number. Hey, Richard, we got another question from registration about clipping these capacitors on the CoCo 3. He's saying he can't seem to get a nail clipper in there. He's wanting to know if could he just kind of rock them back and forth and just basically break them off the motherboard. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they just need to be out of the circuit. So
I did that.
Actually, just clipping one leg's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess trying to do it with a nail clipper just doesn't seem to give him the leverage he needs. Scissors would probably do it. Maybe a small pair of scissors from a sewing kit might work too if you can't get big scissors in there.
I seem to recall the one was a bit tight, and I just snipped the one leg and then just pulled it up so it wouldn't accidentally contact it afterwards, and that worked fine.
Whatever the scissors you use to trim off your bud with before you smoke it, those would probably be really good to get in there.
Yeah, we're sold out of those here in Canada.
Hey, Kyle just joined us. Hey, Kyle. Kyle Eder. Or Eder. So, yeah, we're sharing our first CoCo stories. Go ahead. Were you getting ready to say something, Richard? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
Who was getting ready to talk there?
I was going to ask Curtis when he's going to start doing CoCoTALK High.
What makes you think I haven't done that already?
Paul says use dikes, and believe it or not, that's a very politically incorrect term there, Paul Fiscarelli. So,
I like his next comment.
We used to call them nippy cutters.
So, yeah, those are the little mini needle nose, little small point snippy thingies.
Yeah, I think they're called jewelry or jewelers cutters or something. I don't know the correct term, but yeah, in Tandy Assembly we called them nippy cutters.
Nippy cutters.
Right. So Nick, since you're being, oh sorry, go ahead.
Robin is predicting your high right now, Curtis.
I can't say anything because this is broadcasting to the U.S. So I was just wondering, Nick, do you still have your original CoCo?
Not my original one. The original one was a silver one. No, you're right. I do have it actually. I've packed it away as part of my CoCo collection. I've got a silver one, a white one, together in one box. So yeah, I do.
And do you still have your original Model 1 as well?
Tirasati Model 1, yeah.
Wow. Original machines, yeah. So local, does that say local H? It says, I join in. The first thing I hear is the type of scissors you use to trim bud with. Welcome to 420 Talk.
Technical talk.
Technical talk.
For anybody who doesn't know, we just legalized it even for recreational use here in Canada this past week. So
Right.
countrywide. So that's why.
Yeah.
So the next Canadian national anthem version is going to be really lit.
It'll be more like, oh, what were we talking about?
Oh, Canada.
Exactly.
Did you see the picture of Canada? There's a map of the North America, and there's clouds all across Canada.
Everybody's lighting up. Huh?
Canada's cloudy.
Colorado's still here. Colorado's made it completely legal, and they're still here. They haven't declined or anything. So
I think my favorite one I've seen so far, as far as the cartoons about it go, is that there's a picture of the Canadian flag where they place the maple leaf for the cannabis leaf.
With a pot leaf. Yeah, that's funny. Hey, we got a real Aussie with us. Hey, Chad, how are you? He's back. It takes him a minute. There's a time delay for that boomerang to get there. Chad, do you copy?
Greetings from down under.
There you go. Hey, Chad, teach Nick how to speak Australian. Do like that Foster's commercial, how to speak Australian.
Actually, I better not say. I look up to Nick. I don't want to upset him.
Yeah, you may catch you off the beta testing group there otherwise. So.
Nick's quite a bit taller than you.
No, he's just older than me, and I respect my elders. I was brought up the right way. Unlike these brats of today that I want to slap senseless.
So,
Chad, now that you've joined, do you still have your original CoCo?
That CoCo was in a fire, 1988 or 1989.
It wasn't a weed-related fire, was it?
No, it was not.
Okay, good.
Hot cocoa.
Correct.
Hot cocoa.
That was a model with the melted keyboard, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it did have the melted keyboard.
Extremely melted.
But it was still working. It's just that the colors, the green screen actually went orange.
Oh, wow.
Nothing else was wrong with it except the green. If you used green in any application, it was orange. I ended up giving it to my sister's ex-fiance for his business because he just wanted something to print off receipts. So I gave him my TP10 thermal printer and wrote a little program for him, gave him a cassette player and said, here, just use that. And he was happy with that. And I don't speak to him anymore because he's the guy that stole all my records. He was the guy that taught me to DJ.
Wow.
So, yeah, bit of a disheartening story there, but I won't go into it too much. But what happened was we were living in the mountains in the hinterland, actually up in the Sunshine Coast, a couple of hours north of Brisbane. And we had some bad storms up there to the point where they actually blew the service wire off the power pole. And
wow.
we were living in a caravan at the time because my dad was building a house. And I was playing on the computer and the screen started flickering. I'm like, oh, here we go, power failure again. And I went out to check the power box and I got all this power through my arm. I actually thought someone was standing behind me. It was piddling down rain. And I felt like someone had just whacked me on the shoulder from behind, like just hit me. And I turned around and realized there was no one there. And I just absolutely lost it. I was screaming my head off, get out here, you old beep, 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 beep. But they didn't believe me that I was getting shocks when I touched the caravan. And not long after that, we had the power completely stop, and we called out the service technicians to look at it. When they plugged it was a blown fuse in the power box out on the power pole. They plugged it back in, and next thing you know, I'm inside, and all this smoke's just pouring in. We had a sheet covering the computer to keep the moisture out of it. It was on fire, so I grabbed that and just threw it out the window. And called out to them, turn it off, it's shorting out, it's on fire, and melted 2 deluxe joysticks.
Wow.
The cables. The whole TV was shot. So I ended up just using a black and white temporarily while we sourced a new one. And the computer itself, yeah, as I said, it just had that one issue, but everything else worked okay. So he was happy with that. I wasn't very happy at all. I was so annoyed.
Were you using the computer when electricity flowed through you?
No.
Because you might have absorbed some of its energy and power, and you might be a human supercomputer at this point if that had happened. So
yeah, if only.
Yeah, okay. That would have been really cool. As I'm typing on my computer, it gets struck by lightning. I am now infused with the superpower of the 6809.
Yeah, it sounds like a Marvel superhero.
The human computer.
If I had a superpower, it would be the ability to manipulate time so I can go back and stop myself from giving away all my code.
There you go. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Reminds me of my favorite Cher song, too.
One quick little aside here. You guys did After Dark last week, and I think it was Rick that was mentioning that he showed one of the bouncing ball demos off to Activision.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure it out because it wasn't the Sockmaster one, which is what Ron's showing on his screen. I think it was the Von Cato one because that one came out a couple of years earlier, and it was the best one until Socks came out. Does that ring a bell, Rick?
It doesn't really. I just remember Sockmasters because it was like the best one, but it, the timeline is all wrong. I thought it was that one, but the time frame just doesn't work. So I don't know which one it was. So it was probably that one. I don't know.
Yeah, because Vaughn did a couple versions. He did one that was just plain. There was no checkerboard in the background, but he did make another one with kind of this psychedelic rainbow-colored ball spinning too, like with about 8 colors on the ball itself.
Yeah, my memory
he did a couple versions.
The Sockmaster version. So, but my memory has to be faulty because the timing just doesn't work.
When did Sockmasters come out?
Ron, does it say on the screen there?
No.
No. Okay.
It's 90s.
Can you check the date and timestamp when you type in DIR?
If it was under ADOS, you could, but
so Shanghai, it came out in 89?
Okay, so it could have been.
Maybe
it could have been if he did it like around 87-ish or something.
If it came out in 89, yeah, then the development has to have been like 6 months or so, and then this was a preliminary meeting that I had with them before that, so you can sort of try to place when that meeting was.
Okay, could be.
Yeah, because Vaughn's came out in 87 or 88, from what I recall, and Sox I think came out around a couple of years later. The only other one I remember was Alan DeCock did one. It flickered quite a bit, but he was actually playing 4-voice music while the ball was bouncing around on a checkerboard, not a colored checkerboard, but that came out in 1990.
Silent. Yeah, I remember it being silent. So
yeah,
Vaughn's was silent. To me, in my memory, it looked just like that thing that I see on Ron DeVoe's screen right now. So, but my memory, of course, can easily be faulty. So,
no, yeah.
I do have Vaughn's kicking around on some of my floppies somewhere. I'll have to see if I can find it in one of the episodes coming up here. I'll see if I can show it and see if that rings a bell.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but it was funny because that was the exact moment that they decided, we're going to go ahead with this project because, the guy came in and he says, I didn't know we were doing, stuff with a color computer. And so the person that was going to be my project manager says, well, we are now.
There you go.
And the meeting was all about
After Dark was
are we going to do this or not?
My second CoCo 3 came with a whole bunch of in-store demos because the guy that sold it to me was an ex-Tandy employee. He lived up the street from me. Discovered it in a local newspaper that was specifically like a trading post newspaper. And so I bought that, and I'm pretty sure there was a 16K in there as well because I think I gave that one to my little brother so he had something to learn on and something to play around on. And had all the Christmas demos, had all the really cool CoCo 3 demos, and my friends who used to bag me out for having the CoCo when I only had the 64K, I said, yeah, well, look at me now. Crapping all over their Commodore 64.
Hey, Steve?
Yeah.
The guy that we interviewed last week?
Yeah, that was
Eric
Critchlow.
Yeah. When my third color computer, or possibly the fourth, because I had one light go bad, that I developed Shanghai on. When I left the scene, I had just moved to Minnesota, and I offered to give it away to a good home, and he took it. He took all my color computer stuff. And so I asked him, and it turns out the machine that did Shanghai, he has that in storage.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, he still has it.
Now I have to be careful because iStone gave that to him. So I have no expectation and he has no obligation that goes anywhere other than where it is now.
Sure.
If you catch what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it would be kind of cool if he was able to give it back, if he's willing and able.
Pray, right?
Well, I have to be real careful about that. I don't want him to feel any pressure. It's
right.
It's totally his color computer.
Right.
But Rick is going to be generously giving out his mailing address just in case.
And put his email address on a couple of mailing lists, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed having Eric on last week. I had never spoken to him in person before. I've only known of him kind of through Curtis and through some things I've heard and read. Really interesting guy. Nice guy, interesting story. A lot of twists and turns his career took that were quite unexpected, but yeah.
Richard Lorbieski has worked at a ton of Radio Shacks, hasn't he?
Yes, I have.
Wow. I saw it listed out. Was it?
Yeah, they moved me around quite a bit. I mean, after Tandy Computer Assembly, they moved me around because I was single and I lived in an apartment, so it was very easy for me to move around from one shop to another.
You were highly portable, huh?
Yes, very highly portable.
Your position-independent code can just move around anywhere. So,
yeah. He was a Tandy luggable or portable.
Tandy luggable.
Yeah, I got tired of it when they moved me out to Odessa, and I just had enough. And then about 3 months later, they called me and they wanted me back.
Wow.
And I worked there for maybe 3 months, and I said no.
Now, did you stay in Texas the whole time, or did you move around outside of the state?
I stayed in Texas. I actually wanted to move to Colorado, but my region coordinator did not want me to move. So they blocked my transfer.
Did Tandy have a presence in Colorado?
Yeah, a repair center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're nationwide. They had repair centers.
All over North America, actually. They were all over the place here, too. There was hundreds of them in Canada.
Yeah, if there was a computer center, there was usually a repair center in the back.
Okay.
Yeah, ours here in Saskatoon was separate, actually. We had a computer center downtown in the main shopping district, and the repair center was actually in an industrial district up north.
Yeah, now some of the major cities like Houston and Dallas, they had their own repair depot. And then they also had a consumer repair as well. And they started closing the consumer repair depots in the 80s. And everything got shipped to Fort Worth when they repaired CB radios and cassette decks and TVs and things like that.
Fascinating.
And when a girl entered the store, it was like DEFCON 4.
What is that?
Why is that?
They'd go into overdrive. I used to work next to a Tandy store, and I'd go in there on my lunch break, and the girls would come in, and the guys would just be running around like nuts trying to impress them. And
let me show you our battery collection here, ladies. These are gold.
You want a free battery card?
50 watts per channel, baby cakes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Realistic, baby. All right, how about we do this? Let's take a brief commercial break. We can continue these discussions. There's another good question came up this week on Facebook that's worth discussing was when people got in late, like for people who weren't on the ground floor in 1980, how many people came in later to the CoCo hobby, like later 80s and stuff. And so maybe we can carry on that discussion as well. So, and there's 30 people watching us live right now. So thank you all for being here. I just want to say,
thank you. Yes, you're too kind. And
thank you. Yeah. So we've got a great panel today, but we are missing at least one person here.
David Ladd.
And David, what have you been up to? What are you doing now since you are not here with us, David?
Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff.
Okay, so David's breaking something right now. All right, we're going to go to commercial, and we'll be back after these words, everybody.
Hi, this is Randy Kindig of the Floppy Days podcast.
I just love me some CoCo, and nobody covers it better than Steve Strobridge. You're listening to CoCoTALK.
What if you could go back in time to just the right moment and ensure that Tandy won?
You definitely earned this office.
Thank you. Yes, you're too kind.
Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff. Life has been a dream.
But what if you went back to the wrong moment?
Give me that. How do you even know what that was?
Listen, I don't really care about these blueprints. I just want...
Say, who are you? You want to spy for Commodore or something, are you?
Just move!
Oh.
Hey, hold the elevator! Hold the
Stop right there! Whoa, no need for guns, no need for guns!
So, Mr. Anders, it seems you have stumbled upon my little secret. There is no point in waiting for security. I think you are about to have an accident.
Okay, no!
CoCo forever? Spring-ish 2018.
My fellow Americans, Australians, Canadians, Europeans, and all of you ands, I'm calling on all y'all to help us make the world great again by visiting the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com, where you can get yourself a coffee mug like this with a little cute cartoon character that says, I'm a Coco Nut. You could also get yourself a coffee mug like this with a Color Computer 3 that says, I'm a Coco Nut. You could get yourself a deluxe travel mug like this with the CoCoTALK logo on it. You might even be able to get yourself a DVD like this with over 2 hours of gameplay goodness. It is time for us to rise up and make the world great again by enjoying some quality retro merchandise and CoCo nostalgia. So please visit 8bit256.com and let's make the world great for the color computer. Thank you very much.
CoCoTALK is brought to you in part by Placeblex Dietary Supplement. Placeblex. We think it works, so will you.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This year, I needed to give a real family pleaser.
Honey, please help me with this budget.
How about a new game, Dad? Please.
And I found it. Radio Shack's Color Computer 2. On sale for just $99.95. It entertains, educates, manages, it's expandable, and affordable. Now that really pleases me.
The Color Computer 2. Sale price for Christmas. Only at Radio Shack.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
It didn't switch over. It just switched over. A little delay there in the software. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, Cat. I think the Coco Cat wants to go outside. Come here. Take your little furry butt out there. I just clicked on the wrong damn thing here, too. All right, just clicking on crap. Things are going sideways. Whole world's going to hell. All right, we're back, everybody. Welcome back. Get your Color Computer 2 at Radio Shack. That's right. That really pleases me. Oh, my goodness. All right, so we were talking about, do you still have your first CoCo? Some of us do. Some of us don't. Some of us have that regret of parting with our CoCos. And another question that came up this week was, who entered the life of the color computer later in the 80s, like, mid-80s or whatever? And
or even later than that, for that matter.
No, even later than that, possibly, yes. True.
Does 1984 count?
1984 counts. That's Color Computer was already.
That's Color Computer 2 era already.
Color Computer 2, yeah. Color Computer.
1986 for me.
Oh wow, Grant, you're a baby.
Same here. Christmas 1986.
Wow.
94.
Simon, when did you get your first CoCo?
I don't know if Simon heard you. Simon, you copy?
He might not be by the keyboard at the moment.
All right. So Nick was asking me if I have EDTASM set up, which I don't have it necessarily set up, but I might have it somewhere. I could get it working. I haven't tried it yet, but we might have EDTASM out there.
I know. I just thought if you had EDTASM running, and you could just later on in your core dump, we could probably just boot it up, type in a little 5-line program, compile it, run it.
Well, it shouldn't be that hard to do. So I could if I don't already have it, we could download it from the archive and make it so.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So we'll plan on that.
I was hoping there was one that was patched for 80 columns already, because working on a 32 column screen.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I can't. It's hard to imagine, honestly.
Yeah, that's a little too retro.
So that's the Robert Galt version that you've been using, Nick, the 80 column one.
Yeah, but that one's not really a free one as such.
Right. But that's what you use.
I don't think that. Yeah, I use that. Yeah, I'd share my screen, but my bandwidth is so slow. So
yeah,
I don't know how well that would work.
Yeah, it's upside down.
I mean, I could show off what I've done so far with the Long Branch Never, the Hello World. HTTP GitHub, radio.com, example 6309. So Rick's got something on there.
We're still on dial-up over here.
Yeah, right. So we're running at how many boomerangs per second? Is that we measure Australian data, right? So
boomerang per bit.
Yeah, toggle the boomerang and.
Yeah, so we can do that. We can do an ad hoc assembly segment.
Yeah, just an ad hoc one, but we haven't really prepared the EDTASMs and to see what works and what doesn't yet. But
yeah,
anyway.
I'm somewhat curious to see it too, just because that was kind of the way for a period of time in CoCo history where most people probably use EDTASM. I'm sure there was a handful of other assemblers out there, but EDTASM is probably one of the more well-known ones.
Well, EDTASM's fairly simple and all that. It's just that the 32-column screen is just terrible to work on.
Yeah, some of the third-party ones like Circomp's EDTASM, they use graphic screens to do the actual text. He did like 42 by 24, 51 by 24 usually. That's the one by the guy that did Window Master from Vegas. That's why a lot of the Vegas programmers like Chet and a few others use that too. Instead of EDTASM Plus.
Anyway.
James Jones says, I got my CoCo 2 in 1982 or 1983. Didn't do much with it. Color logo and a terminal program. In 1986, I had a good job and we could afford a CoCo 3. There you go. Yeah, I got my CoCo in 1981, so the CoCo was still relatively new at the time. And I had been hanging out at Radio Shack since before the CoCo even came out. And when I was hanging out at the Radio Shack, the TRS-80 Model 1 was still on display. So I was aware of the CoCo before I got to the point where I could even afford one. So I could definitely say I've been around the CoCo since its inception. Feel blessed to have spent that many years with it,
Yeah, late 81 for me too. I think it was probably about October, November is when I got mine in 81, 4K.
Yeah. And it was true back then. What's true now is that with technology, the longer you wait, the price goes down and the specs go up. It's like buying a computer today too. It's like you spend $1,000 on a whiz-bang system today. Next year, you're going to have bigger hard drives, faster processors, more memory for the same price or less than what you spent this year. So, when the CoCo came out, I think it was $400 for 4K. A year later, for $400, I got 16K, so
it was $549 Canadian here for 4K, and I think it was $699 for 16K.
And the biggest problem is they hold on to tech. They'll release it in in small amounts. I'll say, oh, we've got this new tech. Here we go. We'll give you this. And then a year later, they've already got the other technology, but then they'll feed you that, and that's the new standard, so you've got to buy that. And then they do the same thing a year later again, which they've already got on the works or in the pipeline, or they've already prototyped it and it's ready for assembly. And then they say, oh, well, we've got a new technology, and people are fickle enough that they'll just keep buying and buying and buying rather than upgrading their existing tech.
Right. I mean, let's think back, not back to the CoCo, but let's think about something that's newer, like cell phones. How many people have their first cell phone? And the first cell phone I ever used was the black one that was at my Radio Shack store. It was the one where the battery was the suitcase. You carried it by the handle and you had the little cord. That was the first cell phone I ever used. The first cell phone I owned was the second generation Motorola brick, right? Because the first one was super thick. It was like about a foot deep. And then they had the thinner one that was half as thick. But my first cell phone was a Motorola brick. Who still got one of those? Or like the old Nokias with the small LED display, you know?
I had the brick. It ended up being used as a doorstop.
You know, you didn't have a
MC10. I had a 3310. And I've still got an old Nokia flip phone that I use as my emergency phone when my smartphone spreads.
Right.
Still has life in the battery.
Yeah, because as soon as you mentioned how they keep pushing new technology, that just reminded me of phones. You know, it seems like every year your cell phone contract lasts 2 years, but a year later there's a better phone than the one you got that you're stuck with now for 2 years.
Correct.
Well, no, now some of the companies are actually offering those upgrade plans where you pay a little bit extra, but you can upgrade the phone every year, so they're launching maybe faster now.
Yeah.
Over here, everybody is crazy for Crapple.
Crapple. Yeah, I'm not crazy for Crapple.
Here's my phone. Actually, it was my dad's. We used it in 1977, 78.
Wow. Is that
a car phone or
in a bag? Yeah. The bag had the a battery in it, and it had an antenna over here.
Yeah. That looks a little like the Radio Shack phone.
It was a Motorola. Centel was the company that we used at the time.
Yeah.
The Apple stores over here are constantly full of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So like
They're
cattle.
not there to buy anything. They're there to get support because it's always playing up.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I look at Apple fans like cattle. They just run in to be slaughtered.
Rich cattle.
They believe that they're part of some exclusive club, but they don't realize that 75% of that tech is actually Samsung.
Huh.
They're supporting Android unknowingly.
Yeah.
I've got a quick question for Nick Marentes. What service provider are you with for your interwebs?
Optus.
Optus, nickname Floptus, yeah?
Floptus.
At least you're not with Vodafone or a Vodafone.
Yeah, you know it's funny, but the some of those older communications technologies. So before the cell phones were the big thing, they were pagers, right? And because I've always been like in the tech arena, and I've always been like either having my own business or being in the service providing arena of technology. When pagers and cell phones were new, there was usually only two people who had them. They were either doctors or drug dealers, right? So it's the only people that could afford pagers and cell phones. But I always had a pager and a cell phone when most civilians didn't, just because of my line of work too. So back then you were kind of
which
a
of those two
minority.
vacations were you involved with?
Well, he's definitely not a doctor, so that
we narrowed it down already.
How much you selling that weed for?
No, he actually was a doctor. He was handing out prescriptions.
That's it. Yeah, my special brand is called Nuclear Green. Nuclear Green, baby. So
On your Coke Go.
Local H says CoCo 2 was my first computer. It was a hand-me-down after my uncle had upgraded through to the Commodore 64 to Amiga. Had it for a couple of years before I got the C64. The CoCo ended up at an orphanage. Oh, wow. So I wonder if little orphan Annie got it. So
The CoCo I showed you before, my original one, was back from late 84, early 85.
Was
So
that
that's when I got started.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, by 86, I was starting to phase out of the CoCo because then the Tandy 1000 was coming into its own. James. Go ahead, Nick.
I bought my TRS-80 Model 1 back in 1980, so that's when I started coding TRS-80 Model 1 games. But by 1984, the TRS-80 Model 1 was losing a bit of steam, being low res, monochrome, and all that. Everyone was wanting a color system. So I moved to the CoCo back in 84 and did 2 games there. And wow, I wasn't too happy with the CoCo. I wasn't too impressed with it. But in 86, the CoCo 3 came out. So I thought, that's it. That's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. Hey, so, and I don't know if you know this or not, Nick, if you're how in tune you are with the TRS-80 communities, but I'm just wondering if people are making modern games now for the Model 1s and Model 3s, kind of like what you're doing with Popstar, but making newer games, pushing the machine further than people would have imagined back when it was new.
No, I do follow the TRS-80. There's a games Facebook page which is for TRS-80 gaming, and there's nothing really new there. Mostly talking about the old games.
Okay.
Occasionally you'll find someone who's talks or shows off a program that they had started writing but never finished. So that's a new game, but nothing new. Not that I'm aware of. They don't have the same sort of activity as what we have in the color computer.
Well,
Ian Maverick would know.
Yeah.
I actually, I was in touch with him just the other day because I ordered one of his CoCo Max cartridge. He's re-engineered or remade the CoCo Max high-res cartridge. So I ordered one off him just to try it out. I was going to try to restore one of my CoCo 2s and get it running CoCo Max. Just fun. But it's
interesting.
It's a 8-bit DAC cartridge, basically. I just thought I'd try the real thing. And he had it cheap, so I thought, oh, okay, I'll buy it.
And that's the one that's basically for like a high-res joystick interface too?
Yeah. Although his has been modified. I think the original one doesn't work on a CoCo 3 or doesn't work on CoCo 3 with multi-pack or whatever. I can't remember. I think Ron Delvaux was showing us that it wasn't working, or someone did anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, his version does work. He's done some changes. So, yeah, I've got that coming since it was cheap enough. So.
It doesn't work on my CoCo because it's non-existent.
So he strapped it on the back of a dingo and put it on a wallaby, and it's on its way to you, huh? It's in a kangaroo pouch, hopping its way towards you as we speak. So,
will not work on unexisting CoCos.
Baby.
Yeah.
We do actually have a courier company over here called Kanga Couriers. So
everything is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Boom. All right. So.
Rob, you gotta love the stereotypes.
So Rob Min was saying those poor kids at the orphanage who got that color computer handed down with no sound chip.
He also said the top CoCo games at the orphanage are Color File 2, EDTASM Plus, and the Audio Spectrum Analyzer.
Oh, don't forget Color Script Set.
Dino Wars. Yeah, so that's Nick Marentes' favorite product is Color Script Shit, right? So
it's a test program, isn't it?
I just wonder if they had any of those in any mental institutions and they found a copy of Bedlam and thought, we can do this.
I see a green door. Let me try to open it.
They use Bedlam as the interactive map for the patients. So. Are you lost? Try this.
plug.
I find it funny that Dino Wars is such a polarizing program because some people just hate the thing and some people really, really like it.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a gray area in between there. I personally thought, because they were attempting to do 3D that early on, I thought it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I found it to be a technical marvel.
Young kids just love that game. I still have young kids that have visited recently that love it to this day. So,
yeah.
My brother.
And other people thought it was a good excuse to take chips out to put custom ROMs on. So.
The perfect cartridge to cannibalize.
Yeah, apparently, Rick's one of them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Back when I was a kid, I had 3 ROM packs, and that was it.
Yeah.
And my least favorite of the 3 was Color Script Set.
Well, the gameplay kind of sucked on it, so yeah.
You know what I would love to see? Talk about new CoCo software. Somebody had brought up the idea of rebooting old CoCo games. What if somebody disassembled Dino Wars, and now we've optimized it, and we got the source code, we've got it running with all the whiz-bang features that all the modern programmers know how to do, compiled sprites, optimizations, and now it's a super fast, efficient one. Now we add AI to one of the dinosaurs where you can have single player. And you go through different levels of dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs get more progressive as you fight them, and it becomes like a fighting game, like with the karate style games. We got to keep fighting through rounds and rounds of dinosaurs, get to be bosses and uber bosses and level ups, and you can get pickups where your dinosaur can maybe spit fire or other things like that. It'd be kind of cool to take that game and just give it a modern makeover.
Yeah, I mean, we could do background sound because one of the things I didn't like about Dino Wars is that every time you click the button to bite somebody, it would do that long roar.
Yeah.
Dead the graphics until it was done. So.
God.
That sounded like indigestion, but sure.
That was also my Chewbacca impersonation there too. Dino Wars, Chewbacca, a really bad impersonation. So, yeah.
What was odd about that game is you'd sit there furiously pushing the joystick button to bite, and you're perfectly in line with them, and nothing happens.
Nothing happens. It was the most,
and then all of a sudden, someone on the other side presses a button, and they bite you, and you're like, how is that possible?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a couple of games like that where you literally had to have a second player, which is not a bad thing, but nowadays it's going to be more difficult. But I think their old football was like that too. You couldn't play single player football. You needed a second human to play football, the old cartridge version.
Yeah, I had to wait for Greg Zumwalt's Football 2 in 1987 on the CoCo 3 to do that. So.
Did anyone play Poltergeist?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I bought that. I had that.
Yeah, that's one game that was a movie license, and it only came out on the CoCo.
Yeah.
Had a pretty bad bug on the first level, too. You could cheat. If you held down the joystick button, none of the cars ever came out.
Yeah, but I mean, that still didn't help because that level wasn't that hard anyways. But yeah, to me, the hardest level was just the final round. I mean, the staircases could be a bitch, but that final level where is it a ghost? Is it Carol Ann?
Especially at the end when you got faster, you only had to think about a second to figure out.
Yeah, is it a psycho face or is it a stick figure? It's so hard to tell, and now I'm down to the last millisecond, so you almost have to just guess. Steve Bjork's there saying Street Fighter Dino Wars, right? So round 1, fight. You get the Ryu moves. Oh,
you can work it into the Cadillacs and Dinosaurs arcade game.
Yeah.
Finish him.
Good afternoon, Steve Bjork. How are you?
Thank you. Yes, you're too kind, and thank you.
That was another discussion you guys had in After Dark last week, too, was going through all the officially licensed games, I think both from the arcade and also ones that were cross-licensed between platforms. And I wasn't able to make the show, but I know the CoCo 3 had a hell of a lot more of them than the CoCo 1 and 2 did.
Yeah. And we were talking about the prolific game designers, the ones you knew by name, and then you chimed
Dallas,
in.
Greg Zumwalt, Steve Bjork,
you chimed in with a ton of you chimed in with a ton of comments later on in that video. Excuse me, losing my voice. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that After Dark discussion. It's like this, like today, the shows that we have no idea what we're going to talk about. We just ended up filibustering and wandering into some interesting territory from time to time. Street Fighter Dino Wars with combo moves.
You need a 2-button deluxe joystick for that.
Yeah. So yeah, we should probably plan on that. And last night too was very spontaneous. So maybe we can try to plan officially tonight. I want to try to do another Dungeons of Daggorath kind of group session.
Do you have your old game from last time you tried saved, so you can pick up where you left off?
No, because that was actually on the PC version too.
Oh, okay.
So I want to play the. Why am I hearing myself? Who's introducing the sound loop right now? Space-time continuum. Test 1, test 2. Okay, sound loop is gone. So I want to do the William Astle version that I have now, the patched one that lets you save the disc, and he's kind of fixed a few things. I have that version downloaded, so I'll play it on a CoCo 3. Try out my new switcheroo cable too. So maybe we can make that part of our After Dark. We'll do a group Dungeons of Daggorath session, see how far we can get. I think that was another question this week on Facebook. Has anybody beat the game? And only a few people chimed in saying they had.
Yep,
so,
I did, but I had to save. I've never done it straight through in one shot. I've won it a couple times, but definitely saving the game.
It is a life goal of mine. We can take.
I can't remember. Did you make it? Did you make it past the fake wizard?
No. I think we got to roughly level 3.
Yeah,
is that the fake wizard? Yeah.
Yep.
And then I was trying to avoid him because I think I needed a few more rings or something like that. I don't remember. You were kind of coaching me, and I think I ended up getting stuck.
Yeah,
somewhere.
you can still kill him without all the extra stuff. It just takes a hell of a long time.
Yeah. So we'll try to be a little bit more strategic and make sure we're proper. You know what would be great, especially since it's been disassembled and maybe I don't know if William wants to do this, but it'd be kind of cool where if you could see an RPG style, what are your hit points? What is your health level? What is your strength level?
Because it's all kept internally.
Yeah, and you could see that. And in that way you knew, well, if I keep killing these freaking spiders, eventually my strength and health, I'm going to keep leveling up, and you could do the whole World of Warcraft and just keep killing pigs until you get to the level you need to go to take on the real boss, so
yeah, I think the unique thing about Daggorath though is that the heartbeat was your health type thing.
Yeah.
If you take that away and just give it numbers, I think it'll lose some of its
Well,
flair.
I don't take it away, but at least you know what your strength is or your attack level or something like that. So am I strong enough to take on the wizard? Even if it's just a little bar, like a little picture of a sword in a bar that shows you how strong you are.
Daggorath had some subtle cues to figure that out. Like you were trying to reveal certain items. If your strength level wasn't high enough, you couldn't reveal the really powerful items. Like if you got a solar torch, you did reveal left, and it just sat there and did nothing. You knew you were not powerful enough. Once you were powerful enough, it would suddenly say, "Oh yeah, that's a solar torch." So you could tell the level by the stuff you could reveal between torches and flasks and stuff. So there was an indicator doing that, but it wasn't explicit.
Okay, fair enough. Rob Emmons on this whole orphanage thing here. Back at the orphanage, kids forced to look up OS 9 error codes for Mother Superior. It was tough, I tell you. Wow, that's terrible.
Apparently that was before ease of use.
Yeah. So, so anyways, I'd like to try that. I'd like to try a Dungeons of Daggorath group play together, and maybe we get a few people on sharing their screens and stuff too if we all want to see how far we can get. We could take the Forest of Doom soundtrack and play that on a loop that's got some eeriness to it, so let's have that for mood music. As
long as you don't overpower the Daggorath, because the whole point of Daggorath is you hear the monsters getting louder and louder the closer they get to you. So
yes,
kind of critical to the game.
Yeah, and I want to try my switcheroo cable, which I haven't tried yet, to see if the audio comes in any stronger than the RCA plugs from my current cable. Because I do notice when I run my CoCo 3 through everything, the volume's not anywhere near as loud as it should be. And I just don't know if that's just the CoCo or if it's maybe a different audio, splice might give me a little bit more sound. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to...
And you can play Daggorath in the way it was meant to be played, as an actual strict 2-color black and white game with all the artifact colors too. So,
with or without the artifacts?
Without, because that's basically what it was designed for.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've been doing on the CoCo 3. So
maybe you need a preamp, Stevie.
a preamp to. Yeah, that's what I just need. Another thing to go between the things that plug into things that plug into the box that plugs into the cable that plugs into
Maybe
my
add a
capture
soundboard
device.
to it
Yeah.
while you're at
Exactly
Preamp.
what the doctor ordered. Another point of failure.
Another point of failure.
A soundboard that randomly assigns what sounds go to what keys. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you have that already.
Yeah, that audio out is the same connector. I mean, it's the same source as the one on the RGB.
Okay, so you don't think there's going to be any higher level of voltage or anything like that?
Probably not, no.
All right, well, it's worth a shot. Cool beans. All right, well, that's the show, folks. All right, so no idea. All right, so do we want to try to filibuster here and pull up an EDTASM? I'm willing to try it. We can do an ad hoc EDTASM thing, and if that's too much work, I can always pull up my modern Notepad++ assembler if you guys want to talk me through an assembly example.
I won't remember how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used EDTASM in 30 years. So
Yeah.
Nick,
So,
it'll be up to you.
Nick, are you up for the challenge to help me EDTASM myself?
That sounds so dirty.
Nick Marentes, do you copy?
He ran away.
All right.
Hopped away.
Hopped away.
So, Nick, I'm gonna attempt to find disk EDTASM on the Color Computer Archive.
Okay.
And then if you could talk me through using it, because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing with the bloody thing.
Yeah, if he can't do it, I'll do it.
All right. So, and let me just look. Would it be? I have the CoCo SDC. On the CoCo SDC was a folder called util, disk util, miscellaneous. What would it have been called? It would have probably started with a. Do we know if EDTASM was part of that original thing? Miscellaneous. I don't know. So
I haven't used the basic EDTASM in ages. Actually, I'm just trying to see if my EDTASM 6, the Robert Galt one, if I can get that up and just sharing, and then we can use
all
that.
right. Well, what I'll do in the meantime too is I'm just going to open up the
Yeah.
Color Computer Archive and see if I can find it, and I'll copy the disk image to my CoCo SDC. Color Computer Archive. Maybe we can. I'll run a commercial while we're doing this. So while I'm looking for the disk image, I will run a commercial, and we'll try to get EDTASM up and running. And we're going to do some ad hoc assembly, old school style, with the help of Nick Marentes. So we'll be back after these words, boys and girls.
Hello, this is Grant Leedy with CoCoTALK. Got your Coco 3 yet?
Switcheroo. Use your CoCo with a modern display. Go from RGB to composite with just the flip of a switch. CoCo3, ScartCable.com.
What's going on, everybody? The Original Gamer Stevie Stroh here, and I want to talk to you about I'mACoconut.com. If you love the color computer like I love the color computer, then you got to visit I'mACoconut.com, your one-stop shop for all of your Tandy color computer links needs. There you'll find links to blogs and podcasts and project sites. And
Oh, I found a
emulators
color
and
disk
downloads and
EDTASM
groups
patched
and
for the
communities.
CoCo 3.
If you love the color computer, head on over to I'mACoconut.com. That's IMACoconut.com. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you. Coco forever, people.
G'day, mates. This is Nick Marionettes, author of such color computer titles as Donut Disaster, Rupert Rhymes, and Rockstar Pilot. And I am here today to tell you about the world's most fabulous operating system, OS 9. OS 9 and its current incarnation, Nitrous 9, is the most advanced operating system ever created. And what makes it so good? Ease of use. I find OS 9 so incredibly intuitive that I haven't once cracked open the user manual, and yet I've been able to create such incredible games faster than the time it takes to sing Waltzing Matilda. Using OS 9, I expect my next game, Funstar, will be done this weekend and distributed exclusively on ROM cartridge. OS 9 forever.
Any resemblance to actual events to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
Some people have big plans after school. You know what Elliot's going to do? Jeff, too. Elliot's at work on a book report using Scripsit on Radio Shack's Color Computer 3. It hooks up to his TV. And Jeff's at his Radio Shack Color Computer 3 playing the newest football game. But wait, what's Elliot doing playing new Super Pitfall? And Jeff's having a blast with a new math tutor. You never know what you might try with more than 100 programs for fun and learning. Radio Shack's Color Computer 3 comes with everything you see here. Other items each sold separately. Only at Radio Shack.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
All right, boys and girls. Well, we are here. Oh, I don't need to have Timberman on the screen anymore. That was from a while ago. All right. So here's the live chat. We got everybody here with us. Here is my CoCo, and I found on the Color Computer Archive a EDTASM patched for 80 columns. So what would I run? Patch Basic?
I'm not sure. I think I have tried that. It didn't work for me, but give it a try. If not, I've got my EDTASM up and running, so I can try share my screen, and we can sort of do a very quick 20-minute, very basic EDTASM, how to program an assembler session.
All right. Well, I don't know what the hell it's EDTASM old. There's EDTASM bin patch basic. So what happens if I run DOS? What the hell will that do?
Yeah, that's what you do, I think, if I remember, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's been so. Yeah, you get this menu. So what do you run? Maybe you have to run. What is it?
Color TRS DOS by RG Kilgus. What the hell?
That's for accessing disk.
Yeah, Robert Kilgus did his little mini DOS when he did EDTASM. He's a guy who did skiing in Dino Wars, ironically enough.
All right, so should I just load an EDTASM bin? Let's try that. Never done this before.
That'll run, but yeah, give it a try. You'll see the problem I had with it.
All right, and then now exec. Okay, disk EDTASM.
Yeah,
now this is not.
Enter.
What's that? Do I?
I for insert.
I for insert. That's what she said.
And see, it says buffer full. I don't understand that.
That's also what she said. Yeah. So.
Welcome to After Dark.
Yes. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the archive, and I'm not going to download the patch version because obviously the patch version here is bollocks. So we'll go to the unpatched version.
I assume by patch they're talking about patch for disk or.
Well, no, this said disk color EDTASM patched for 40 and 80 columns.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Rob Inman saying you have to do a with 80 first before running that version 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
With 80. So do I try that before I go out of my way to download another?
Let's try that. Maybe it was trying to allocate RAM that the VDG's taking up or something.
All right.
If not, I'm ready to go on my one. So.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit insert, and then we're going to see if her buffer is full or not here in just a minute. So I'm going to go back to my CoCo 3 capture.
I have a cartridge version running on XRAW if needs be.
EDTASM. So we're going to run this frickin' thing here, patch bass.
And it should get an error. You watch. Press
all right, so now let me type with 80.
Already exists, so that means it's already been made.
So it's already been patched, yeah.
Okay, so now I'm in with 80.
EDTASM.
And then now what? Just type in.
Well, try running the EDTASM and see if
it's load them EDTASM and then try execing it.
Am I not able to spell now? EDTASM.
Yeah,
there's only one T in there, huh?
Yep.
Load them EDTASM. Ed to the TASM.
All right, exec that.
Okay, here we go.
Do
now.
Enter.
And her buffer is still full.
I don't understand why that's happening. So anyway, I've got mine here. So if we want to do a core dump.
All right, we can certainly do that.
Yeah.
So let me just continue sharing my sound for just a second here while I run the core dump intro.
Yeah, Rob's also saying you can't run it from Explorer, so.
You can't run it from SDC Explorer?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll try it one more time. Let me go ahead and hit the core dump anyways. Oh yeah, it is time for a core dump with Nick Marionettes, author of Funstar.
What was that?
So let me.
Guru.
I was just gonna say this is sure ease of use.
All right, so we're gonna try something real quick. Now I'm gonna try this one more time.
Oh, okay.
So EDTASM 80. Load them EDTASM. So we can't run it from the CoCo SDC. We're going to exec. I'm going to hit I for insert, and her buffer is still full.
Yeah, so something weird with that copy, so I don't worry
All
about it.
All right, so...
All right, so we've done the intro, so I guess we go straight into it. Eh?
Yes, sir. Take it.
Right.
Hold on one second here. Let's get back to the main screen here. And take it away, Nick Marionettes.
I will attempt to share the screen and have that up and running. So one momento.
Who could have had the OS9 assembler already running, you know?
Oh, no, but mine's up already.
Who wants to write for that shit of an operating system?
Welcome to the
Nick to look up the error codes.
The handicap.
All right, so there's my CoCo. I'm just running the VCC, so I can share that screen. And I've got my Robert Galt EDTASM 6309 mounted, and it's.
Now that's a commercial product from Robert, correct?
It is, yeah. And I've had this now for the last, almost 20 years. I bought it from him way back then, and over the years, there've been little suggestions I've asked Robert, and he's been adding it in. I think I must be the only one who's actually uses the program nowadays. But every time I either find a problem or make a suggestion, Robert goes in and adds that feature. The last feature he added for me was the ability to have a full 225 scanline display, because I like the really high screen. So he's done that, and that's what this version is. So basically I just run my editor assembler, which is just run DOS, and it'll boot up my editor assembler. EDTASM is now loading. Kabam, and there it is. So this assembler is 6309 capable as well. It also supports DriveWire, and it also lets me print my file, my whatever I create, to the PC via DriveWire. So if I want to see a full printout of my listing, I print the source file out, and it makes a file on the PC, which I can then open up, print out on my printer, or open up in any text editor, and then I can usually, have the benefit of looking at my code on a bigger screen. But we won't cover all the features. We'll get straight into EDTASM. So there it is. If I do okay, so this is the editor. It's called an editor assembler. In other words, it's two programs in one, you could say. You have the editor where you edit your source file, and you can then assemble that within the one program and create a binary file.
Yeah, and the cartridge you had ZBug as well.
Well, there is ZBug. I've never used ZBug, so I have no idea how that works. But
that's a ZBug for you American fans.
Yeah, that's right, ZBug.
ZBug.
Yeah, I've never gotten, never used a debugger like that, but it's there as well. Yeah, so it's actually three programs in one. Anyway, let's start a program. So the command in EDTASM is I for insert, and we'll just go with the default line numbering. We won't do anything fancy. We'll just do the very bare bones, simple stuff. So insert, and I start off on line 100. I use the arrow, or the on a real CoCo, it's the arrow key, the right arrow, to go across to my tabs. There are several tab spots. The first tab spot is where you put a label. So I'll just do a dummy line. So this is where you put labels. Mm-hmm. The next tab spot is the actual assembly command. So, for example, load A, and then the next tab spot is the remaining part of that command. So load A with the value of, say, 5. And the next tab spot is where comments go in. And, it's up to the user if you want to comment it. So you would say comments.
Now,
So
do you have to put a remark or a hashtag or anything in front of there? Or does it just know it, the colon?
No, not in the comments field, no.
Okay, so it just ignores that fourth column.
That's right. The fourth column is just comments. So just type your text there. So that's basically it in a nutshell. You got four columns: a label, the instruction, the parameters for that instruction, and a comments line. And that's how your program, you just build it that way. Now, I'll just get rid of this because another thing, just talking about comments, if you wanted to label an entire section, then what I normally do is I tab to the instruction line and I put an asterisk, and then that tells it's going to be a comment, so or a label or a documenting whatever the next piece of code is, for example. So you can put comments wherever you want. But we're going straight into programming. So the first thing we got to do in any assembly language program is to tell it where the program will reside. And that is a command in the assembler. It's not a 6809 command, it's an assembler called origin, as it's meant to be. And that's done in the instruction column. So I go across to the instruction column.
Can somebody please stop flushing their toilet?
Yeah. I might have been Jason. I just muted him.
So origin, and we'll just throw this at hex 6000, for example. Oops. Yep. Or origin 6000. So this code will, when I load the final binary program, it will load from hex 6000 upwards from there. So origin 6000. Next thing you got to do, well, what I do is I open up with a label. Let's call it, in this case, entry. So this will be the entry point to the program. You can have the entry point anywhere in your code, and what I do is I have a label called entry, and I'll show you later on how that's used a bit further towards the end. So entry. Now I'm going to do a very simple hello world. So what I'm going to do is just print the words hello world in the top left corner of the text, the normal text screen. Now it's important to know where you're going to write this text, because you can't just say print hello world, because under assembly you've got to basically tell it where do you want to print that thing, and where is the text hello world stored. You've got to store that somewhere as well. So it'll make sense as we do the rest of the program anyway. So entry, first thing is say load X, for example, with the source location of the text. Now I haven't got the text in there yet, but I'll put that down the bottom. Let's call it text. So we load X with the position pointed to by the labeled text. That'll come in a second. Then we load, say, the Y register with where I'm going to put that text. So we load Y with hex, well, no, let's do decimal 1024, because I can't remember what the hex version of
400.
400, that's right. Anyway, let's use decimal to keep away from the whole hex and decimal and all that stuff. So load Y with 1024, and then load B with the number of characters that is going to be in the text screen. In this case, the phrase hello world is 11 characters. So load B with 11. Then let's do a loop. So let's call this loop. And then we start the loop. The first thing in the loop is to load the accumulator, load A, with what's in the location pointed to by X. And here, what I'll do is I'll also auto increment X, because once we've loaded that, the value pointed to by X, we want it to then point to the next value so that when we come back in the loop, it's ready for the next character. So load X, where is it? Where's the plus key on this? Here we go, load A with X. So A will have the first letter in our text line. This will make more sense once I've got the text line in there as well. So I'm just trying to get through really quickly, then I'll go back and just explain things again. Load A with text. Now store A into the location pointed to by Y and move that forward automatically. Then I do a decrement B. Now remember, further up, B was loaded with 11. So we want to decrement it by 1. And then if it's decremented, if it's not decremented to 0, there's a command branch. If it's not equal, it's not equal to 0, back to loop. So I'll just put a blank line there. I'll just lock up the program. Let's call it lock up.
This is like an infinite loop to make it just go back to itself.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, once you run the assembler, the processor will go crazy. It'll just keep reading through RAM. So depending on what I have after this loop, it'll go nuts and crash. So I'm just giving it something to do. It's lock up 4, 5, 6. Yeah, lock up is 6 characters. Labels can be 6 characters. And we'll just make it jump back to lock up. So basically we're going to run the program. It'll do print hello world, and then it'll just lock up there. Now we'll throw in the text, and we create the text, and there's another assembler thing called form constant characters or something, FCC. And
Communication Commission, I don't know.
Constant characters is F mean 4 anyway. And let's put the text in. I wonder if I can just type.
You got an at in there now.
Yeah. Hello world.
Right. How's your DEFCON level doing?
No, I'll just go back over this now that I have the whole listing there and just quickly explain it. Then we've got to tell the assembler that is the end of the code. So end, if I put an N in there, end, and a thing you also put in is you enter where the execution point for the program is, and that will be entry. Now let's go back over all that.
Entry spelled wrong.
I did too.
Entry.
Yeah. Let me just edit using this highly sophisticated line editor.
Wow. So that's how you have to do it, huh? Oh, that would drive me nuts.
It's like the edit command in BASIC. It's pretty easy.
It's exactly the same.
So if you're used to that, it works the same.
That's right. I'll just clear the screen. Okay, I'll just reset my screen so that we don't have... There we go. There's my program. Okay, fire away with a question here.
All right, so I have EDTASM up to in 32 screen mode, and I don't have nice columns like you do. Does it matter?
You should do.
It should tab. What's the tab key? Is it the right arrow key?
You're supposed to tab between
the right arrow, or do they tab? Have you gone to insert?
Yeah.
How are you switching columns, Nick?
But they're not as organized looking as yours.
Right arrow should actually put it into the next column.
It should do, yeah.
Did you right arrow between columns, Ron?
No.
Okay, that's probably why then.
Don't know anything about that.
Yeah, the right arrow key is like the tab key. It'll move you over one column.
Takes you automatically across to the tab, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so you need to do a right arrow for the tabs.
So mine is going to be all gibberish.
Sorry?
So mine will be all gibberish.
You go back and edit it, right? Just what's the command to edit it?
Well, it'll be A.
What does
but-
EDTASM still take spaces as separators between the fields too, or?
Actually, I've never used the spaces. I don't know. I don't think so.
I didn't know if it did both or not.
I've always used the tab key. Yeah, so I'm used to seeing the listing all nicely aligned and all that. So that's I've always liked that in EDTASM. So there's our program, and just going through that really quickly before we assemble it. We've got the ORG command telling the assembler that the program will be compiled to load in to address 6000 hex. And then we open up the program with a label called entry. Now, the very last line where I said end entry, once it's compile the program, when you do a loadm, let's call it test, for example, loadm test will be the program. As soon as I hit exec, it will execute from entry. If I don't put that in there, it probably just executes from location 0, which is just junk, and it'll just crash the system. So this basically allows you to tell it where the program will automatically execute when you hit exec. So hence,
isn't that what that org does? No,
org tells it where to actually start assembling the program.
That doesn't tell it where to execute in memory.
No, that's right, and that's what the end command does. It says, okay, that's the program.
And there's a reason for that too, because I mean, in some cases you might have data tables, like you could have put the FCC hello world at the very beginning, and then you have the program actually start running after that.
And I do that. I usually do have other stuff there, and so my entry point is actually more mid down into the program. So wherever that is, I have a label entry, and that's where I put my code. And at the very end, in the end statement, I put end entry. That way, when you hit exec, it'll run entry, or from entry rather.
And you use this same bloody program to make Popstar Pilot.
Yep.
You're an animal. You are a freaking animal, because this is just like insanity to me.
Well, this is assembler. This isn't really too different to using any assembler, really. This is assembly language.
But it's like, dude, they have running water now. They've got like silverware and air conditioning. So it's like.
well, the important thing to know is that every other programming language that you use, it's at the base of it, it has to somewhere along the line run this sort of code. It has to be interpreted. And this is the raw code. This is what the computer sees. Whether you're running the latest Pentium or whatever, there will be assembler code, which is the only thing it understands. That is the language of the assembler.
I think Stevie's more hinting at the editor.
Yeah, the editor.
Oh, well, the editor, I mean, there will be flashier ones.
Yeah.
But every editor assembler still has to have a label, command, parameters.
Right. The source code is going to look the same, but just
it's still going to look very much the same. But, as I said, one thing I really hate, and I wish Robert could actually modify in this assembler, is to put a screen-based editor rather than the old school line editor. But hey, well, luckily we're all used to, well, generally we're all used to that sort of editor, because that's the default basic anyway. So, but yeah. Anyway,
now,
there's our. Sorry.
Is there anything you have to do for that text other than just having it there as "Hello World"? You don't have to wrap quotes around it or do anything else to let us know that that's.
Hang on, let me just. I'm just wondering if. No, I don't think there is.
And what did FCC stand for again?
Form constant characters, I think it means.
Okay.
In other, you put a string. You type a string of text.
Okay.
So that's what that part of it is. So just winding back. So we've said what ORG is. We've got the entry label. Then we load the X register to point to the start of the text, which is why I say load X with the immediate value of text, which is looking down. We load the Y register with the place it's going to effectively start poking the text. So in this case, the top of the text screen under basics, normal green screen, is 1024. And we load B with the number of characters it's going to do. In other words, the for next loop is 1 to 11, for example, in BASIC. So we've got those three variables set up, X, Y, and B. Then we do the actual loop itself. So I have another label called loop to signify the start of the loop. Then I say load the A register, the other register, with what's in X. In other words, in this case, it'll load up the character H, whatever the ASCII value of H is. It then stores A into Y, into the location 1024, just that was loaded into Y just prior. And both of those commands, load A and store A, have got load A with X plus, store A into Y plus. So in other words, once it's loaded those values,
they increment.
X is automatically incremented. So basically it's getting it ready for the next character. If I didn't have those, I would then have to add a command later after these two lines saying increment the X and increment the Y.
Right.
You know,
so let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you two dumb questions because at this point now I know enough to be dangerous with what I think I understand. So because the X register is 16 bits, will it take two letters at a time to load in there, or is it only going to load the H?
We're not loading into X. We're not loading into X. We're loading into A, which is an 8-bit value.
Okay.
X is pointing to something. So
the X register is where the
so it's pointing to a 16-bit address, and that address is wherever the word.
Okay, so A and B are still 1 byte at a time.
Yeah, they're 8-bit.
Okay.
X and Y are being used as index registers, so they're pointers.
Index registers,
okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid all the terminology without, I'm just trying to keep it really simple. So X is pointing to the start of the hello world. Y is pointing to the start of the screen. B is the number of characters it's going to do this loop for. And I've got the auto.
Right. So the load A is going to load in the value of the character.
Yes.
And then store A is going to store it on the screen. It's going to write it to the screen. So it's like peeking and poking.
That's right.
Now, could this have been concatenated into a transfer, or to make it a little bit more efficient, or does a transfer not include auto increment?
A transfer? What do you mean a transfer?
Well, Steve Bjork just went over that last week. Again, I know enough to be asked dangerous questions. We covered a transfer command that sometimes saves a step.
Yeah, transfer only transfers between registers, so it wouldn't actually store anything.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
If I wanted to move what the contents of A have into B, I would do a transfer.
Okay, so that's not going to. You can't transfer it to the screen.
No, it doesn't write to RAM.
Gotcha.
Transfers register to register only.
That's right. So you load A from what X is pointing to, and with that A, you then store that into what Y is pointing to. And X and Y have been incremented to the next one in preparation for the next byte.
Right.
Then the next command is to decrement B. So B has been previously loaded with 11.
Right. Now we're going to go down to 10, and
So
it's a 4x loop counter basically.
Yeah.
Basically, that's all it is. That's right. I mean, if I have a varying levels of text, obviously this loop is only set to run 11 characters, but what if I have various text lines that are all of different lengths? I would do a different approach. I might put a specific value at the end of that text, like a 0, for example, and then my program would load the text. If it's not 0, then go back and do the loop.
All right, so that's like your end of data delimiter.
I'm just doing it very simple and just going for a fixed value of 11, since we've only got this one line to do. So once it's done that 11 times, it'll have grabbed the whole hello world, the whole 11 characters, dumped them to the top of the screen. It then goes to that lockup line, which, so the CPU
it's an infinite loop, basically.
It just locks it up. Otherwise, it'll just keep running and it'll just go nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the problems, of course, that a lot of people have with assembly language, is that they write their program, it all looks good, but they don't realize that, okay, the CPU does not stop. It keeps going. So it goes through and tries to interpret whatever other bytes are following, which we don't know what they are. It'll just crash.
Question, Nick, could you just do an RTS there? Does that come back to basic okay?
I think it does, yeah, if you do that. But I'm trying to avoid having to show the whole interfacing with basic and everything. We could do that.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember if that worked or not.
Yeah. If you put an RTS there, you could do an exec from basic, an exec hex. Want me to do that?
No, that's fine. I get it.
Yeah. So
Just
if you put an RTS. Sorry.
Just curious too. How much memory does that actually consume compared to 3 lines of basic code? Essentially the same thing.
It actually probably consumes a bit more, but in basic code, you also have to have the basic interpreter. How big is the basic interpreter?
Yeah, 8K.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yeah.
This doesn't need basic or anything. This is all it needs to put the word hello, the writing hello world up there. Whereas basic doesn't work without a basic interpreter in there in the first place. And that's what, is it 12K or 16K or whatever it is. So it is very economical. It's only using whatever number of bytes this code needs in the whole 64K space. If I assemble that, I use the A command, and I don't want it to assemble the code as yet. I'll say assemble no object. Object is the actual assembled code, the object.
The actual bin file.
The bin file itself. So I won't do that just yet. I'll just assemble to the screen so you can see what the full assembly looks like. So assemble with no object does this. Now you can see the lines that we typed after the line numbers there. See, there's a few extra tabs, columns inserted on the left now.
Yeah.
The columns on the left have the address, and then there's the instruct. Well, you see up to 4 bytes following. For example, the entry load X with text is AE6013.
Yeah.
Are the instructions. And
that's the actual machine language.
That's the actual machine language. That's machine language there. That's not assembly language. Assembly is what you're seeing after the line numbers of 100 onwards. That's the assembly language. The new stuff that has appeared that's on the left is the machine language. So when you're programming, you're not actually programming in machine language as such. You are programming in assembly language, which is the more English-like version of the machine language. So, you can straight off see on that very first second line there with entry, which is easier to learn to use to program in, using the words entry LDX text or 8E6013.
Oh, obviously the hexadecimal is so much more efficient.
That's right. That's right.
That's less typing.
I mean, unless you've got a brain that knows how to interpret all the numbers. You know that 8E stands for load X, and 6013 is the actual address it's loading into X. So if you look carefully at that first line, for example, look. It says 806013. Now, go down to the line that's on the left, on the extreme left, goes down to 6013, and then see that is the start of Hello World. So in other words, I'm loading X with 6013, which is where text is. Now I have got an error there on that says missing information. So I think I do need to put a hang on,
quotes or slash or something, some sort of delimiter.
Yeah, you need a delimiter to tell the assembler that's text. So I'll just add that in, and it'll make more sense then. So we go in, we use a fantastic editor that we have.
You're just space barring your way through.
I'm just space barring, yeah.
And then to insert.
Yeah.
So this is exactly like the basic editor.
Extended basic, yeah.
When I say editor, I'm going to be using quotes here. Editor.
That's right.
They called it. Yeah, they called it an editor. All right. So now you're going to try to assemble it again with the /no. A/no.
So there it is. So I had to put the slashes on.
Okay.
In the end, yeah. So that the assembler knows that the text part is in between those two. Different assemblers may use different things in there.
I will mention one thing on the /no option. There's other options you can do too. Basically, use that to do a quick assembly in memory only, just to make sure you don't have errors. Because if you're writing it to disk every time, especially a floppy, it takes a while for it to actually write because floppies are slow.
It does.
So it's much easier to do it this way.
You can also use WE, assemble wait on error. So when an error, if it's a big long listing, you can have it automatically pause so that you don't miss it. And you can also say no object, because we don't want it to make the code yet. And also what I use a lot, especially when your listing is long, is say no list. So that's what I use. And like what Curtis was saying, if I do that, it just comes straight back and tells you the number of errors that are there. So it's a quick way of seeing if my code is okay.
This last chunk is called a symbol table, which is basically what it tells you what your labels are all getting assigned. So in this case, the label entry is getting assigned 6,000, which was what the start of the program is.
Yeah.
Lockup is the address of that infinite loop. So that's 6,010 in hex. And then the other ones, et cetera, et cetera.
We don't enter that. That's the assembler telling us what the address is of all the labels. So you can even suppress that, actually. Assemble, let's see. This is what I normally do. Assemble, no object.
Why don't you do a /FTW, F the world, and don't see anything?
Hey, yeah. Assemble. Yeah, well, that'll do it. And that's it. Just comes back and says 0 errors. And that's handy when you have a big, long listing. It makes the assembly so much quicker. I can have 1,000 lines in there, and it only takes say 30 seconds to do 1,000 lines. But if I listed them as well, it's a bit slower there.
Sure. And you did that for Popstar Pilot, didn't you? For one of your preview videos where you actually had the source code scrolling by on the screen.
Yeah. You see the whole thing going.
Yeah.
So there's our program.
Okay, let's execute it. Engage number 1.
Well, we can't execute yet. That's the assembler. We got to make the actual code. So now we can say assemble and give it a name, and we'll just call it test. Assemble test.
And you don't have to put .bin at all.
No. So it's assembled it. If I look at my disk, and that's an extra command that Robert Goltz added called V for drive letter 0. So there's the files on my
test
disk.
Bin. Okay.
So there's my test bin. That's right. So that's the program. It's now compiled it. It's made it into machine language. So, but what I'll also do here, in case I need to come back to that, I'll write the source code, what I just typed, the assembly code. I'll write that out as well.
And that creates like a .asm file?
Yes, that's right. Yes. So if I look at my disk now, I now have
test and so if you needed to pull that back up again into your editor, there it is.
Load test ASM, yeah, that's right. Or load test. So yeah. So
now
in machine language.
Let me ask you a quick dumb question. If you were to exit out of this, would it prompt you to save before quitting?
No. So you got to remember to do that.
That's old school. Screw you. Screw you. You didn't need that.
That's only for you young pups.
That's right. This is only for real men.
Yeah.
So we can get out of the assembler now, back to basic, and we can actually say load M test. And there it is. And I'll just clear the screen so we don't have all the disk extended basic text up there. So I'll just clear it. I'll just move down a bit because we told it to print in the extreme top left.
Yeah, and we didn't tell it to clear the screen first, so it's
no,
going
we
to leave
didn't do
whatever's
any
there.
of that. We've just kept it to the raw basics. So exec, Hello world.
Hello world.
Now the black is because it's
because it's doing the decimal. Paul Fiscarelli covered this. Because it's basically poking the value to the screen and 30. The lower
so that's
the lower
VEG
ones are
character, not the ASCII character.
Yeah.
For space.
I mean, you'd have to incorporate something to test.
We did that. He did that.
I'm not going to worry about that, but you can see our program wrote hello world and see how fast it was. Do that in basic.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going to see much difference there, I suppose. But
0 CLS : print hello world.
That's right.
So much faster.
We've just created a assembler program.
Yeah.
I'll just reset my VCC.
Right, because now your infinite loop is going on there.
And you break out with the reset button.
Yeah. So honestly, that EDTASM does not completely suck. I was concerned about it. Having used Notepad++, you're a little bit spoiled, but it doesn't completely suck. And
it's usable. If you use BASIC, then really it's the editor is the same as that. But definitely a proper a Notepad++ with its screen editor and all the colors and all that is going to be better. But that's why I stay old school, so I don't get spoiled.
Well, here's another challenge too. When especially on a bigger program like Popstar, and you go to assemble this now, the CPU that's doing the assembly is your 6809, and so now the time it's going to take to assemble the code into the binary file is going to take longer than if you'd done it on a cross assembly, obviously, right? So
I get it. That's right. You're using a 1.79 megahertz CPU as opposed to a 3 gigahertz CPU on a PC running an emulator, of course. But for example, Popstar Pilot, the source code on that, which was quite large, took the entire source file, which was about 7,000 lines. When I assemble that and write to disk, it's created the binary it's under a minute.
Oh, really?
Because I suppress the listing.
Okay.
All it's doing is assembling.
You're just doing the okay.
That's right. It only takes a minute, and it assembles to I've got a CoCo SDC, so it's a bit faster in writing to that.
Sure.
Or if I have DriveWire, which I do, I can assemble to a DriveWire drive if I want.
Right.
So it does it much the same. So 7,000 lines takes about a minute to.
That's not terrible. That's not terrible. Jason has his hand up. Yeah.
Jason, fire away.
Okay, this package that you're using now is a commercial package. Now, is it something that's still available?
Yes. Yeah. If you contact Robert Galt, I haven't got his contacts at the moment, but I can get them to you. He sells the assembler. And it's basically the old Tandy's disk EDTASM that's been heavily patched to have one disk I/O to support 80 column or 40 column screens. It's got support for 6309 instructions. It has a lot of other extra codes in there. There's a few other enhancements, like it uses a 28 line display because
it runs at the full 2 megahertz too, right?
And it runs at 2 megahertz as well. 1.79 megahertz. So it's as fast as I can get it. That you can basically get without having to go in and optimize the code.
Right,
itself.
and this does require a CoCo 3 though. So even if you were going to write something for a CoCo 1 or 2, you would still have to write on the CoCo 3, right?
Actually, well, there's no 80 column display on the CoCo 1 and 2, is there? Yeah. But I think the program still can be made to use the 32 column screen.
Okay.
Work, but
And I'll just mention as an aside here too, Nick's talking about how long it takes to assemble a large program. If you're using the OS9 assemblers, there's two main ones. There's ASM and there's RMA, and it's the same thing. If you do a listing, it definitely slows down, even if you're redirecting it to a file to look at later. If you just do assembling without the listing, it runs pretty quick. The relocatable macro assembler, which is the advanced level 2 one, actually lets you assemble, like you can have your code in multiple chunks if you're doing a really large program. And you can actually, it's smart enough to know not having to reassemble every chunk if you didn't change anything there. So if you only change one small part of your program, say it's divided into 5 parts, it only has to physically reassemble that one part, and then it just kind of merges the whole thing together. So it goes much, much faster on fast projects, more like a modern assembler.
Right.
Hey, when you have a long listing, how do you is there a
just like in Basic, you use the Shift at.
Shift at.
Oh, okay. I wondered about that.
But it lists only a page at a time if you want. The P command, for example.
Like pause after each screen?
Yeah, it'll pause after every screen anyway. So that's how you can go through and look. This is only a small listing. We don't.
I mean, I would imagine by the time you've already done your editing, seeing the source code in the assembly part is not that important because you've already spent all your time banging out the code in the editor, right? So it's almost non-essential to see the code scroll by as you assemble.
No, it's of no interest to me.
Yeah.
And actually, that's one thing I'm going to be writing to Robert to see if he can make the default when you do an assembly, like I'll do a no object because I don't want it to write any code. Assemble no. The default is to list and to show the symbol table. I would rather if you can do an A enter and the default is no listing, no object, so I can just do an
right.
A.
So you want your default, you press one key and you get the fastest possible assembly option available to you.
That's my next suggestion to Rob.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes complete sense.
If I want to compile, when I'm ready to do an actual compilation, I'd rather do a / I don't know whatever at the end of it. So you're telling it to do assemble. Oh, sorry, no, assemble / P, say to print as well, for example. I want it to be an option to actually choose the printing, which I don't do that often. I just assemble, check it, write it to disk, and then I just exit and run my code. We mentioned earlier with Simon, he brought up the fact that there's also ZBug, which is a debugger as well. I never use that, but you can actually jump from here to ZBug, look at your code, set up breakpoints and all that sort of stuff like a normal debugger. So, but I never use that. I'm very old school. Actually, that's not true because EDTASM is an old school program with the ZBug. I was just too stupid to learn it, I suppose. But I tend to write my code, assemble it, write it out, and save the source code, and then I run it. If there's a problem, I'll just go back in, bring up the source code, and then I nut it out just looking at the code without any debugging tools.
Yeah, I do see some value in that output where it showed you where your error was. It said you had an error, and the error was in 6013, and so you knew where it was. Exactly. So that's definitely useful.
And I'm not sure if it allows single stepping as well, like the more fancy debuggers.
ZBug, I believe, does, yeah.
Oh, does it? Okay, yeah. So there are other tools in there for anyone who's used to a debugger, but yeah, I'm stupid, so that's as far as I got. So,
yeah, I think Simon's had his hand up. Did you have something you wanted to add, Simon?
No, actually, I just wanted to show Nick something. If I could share my screen just for a moment.
Yeah, I'll unshare. Hang on. That's all. We don't want to see anything more. Is that the end of this?
Well, if you could have the 2-layer gimme going on here, that'd be nice. So
I'll unshare so Simon can.
256 color hello world too while we're at it.
Okay,
there you go. Where do you poke for 256 colors?
That's poke color, 255. Go ahead, Simon.
So, away you go, Simon.
Yeah. Sorry. There you go. There you go.
This is the sharing episode. Sharing is caring. All right, so this is Simon's editor.
No, Nick, that's not too far away from where you are.
No, that's right. It is still. I mean, assembly language is assembly language. There is a syntax, so that's.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what editor you're using.
No.
So we were actually talking about editor assembler and ZBug, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
ZBug. So let me just because if I use
is this 80 columns, by the way, here, Simon?
No, yeah, it's whatever comes you make it, Stevie. So, yeah, seriously. But talking about Zbug and stuff like that, if I just find something here.
And by the way, for those who have, Steve Bjork has mentioned a few times in the live chat, because we're talking about Hello World right now, and Paul Fiscarelli is also showing Hello World. When Steve gets into his code segments, we're going to start off, he says, by making a game. He has mentioned that before, and he just put that in the chat too. So just when we get to lesson 11, we will be starting game stuff too.
Yeah. Hello World is a good one to start off with, because you basically learn a few of the basic things.
Yeah.
In this case, you saw the looping structure. I mean, there's a lot more things that can be done, but as an introduction to get a feel for what programming and assembler is, that sort of covers it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
The or statement, the end statements, producing a loop, the labeling, the layout of the tabs. It's a good way of just showing an introduction.
Were you going to show us?
It gives you an immediacy too, because you get to see the screen do something. Where if you go to Leventhal's book, it's all you have to use Zbug, because basically you're trying to dump registers to see what an ad did or something like that. So,
I think Nick has scared me to OS 9 now.
Yeah, I'll start the OS 9 assembly tutorial a little bit later, but.
Okay, so this is the original EDTASM, huh, Simon?
This is the cartridge one.
Where did all that shit just pop up on the screen from? This is like auto typing? What's going on here?
Well, he hit Z first to go, or Z first to go into Zbug, which actually, if you just single step through, is a disassembler basically. So it's actually showing you what code exists at the memory location you start at,
which is the basic ROM.
Oh, so you're stepping through memory. Okay, so C00, that's where the basic
the cartridge
ROM.
He's actually looking at EDTASM itself.
Or EDTASM, rather, yeah.
Oh, so this is actually looking through RAM.
Yeah.
So
ROM in this case, but
yeah.
So the extreme left column is the memory location.
Yeah, so if you wanted like the original color basic.
Yeah.
At A00, yeah.
So this is where the ROM starts.
Yeah, if you wanted to see what was in that, you could actually do word mode.
That gives you hex dump.
And that's showing you the actual machine language.
Yeah.
So you can do ASCII mode.
Hex dump.
ASCII mode.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's if you're trying to dump text chunks of a program.
And so this I can see already. This would be so much better in some type of GUI format where the text is, available.
Is this how you save the ROM out to a bin file?
No, this is just for looking at it in different ways. You can disassemble it. You can dump the hex dump. You can dump it as ASCII, depending on what part you're looking at.
So here's a hypothetical question, which I think I know the answer is yes to. So could you write a basic program to start, like we were starting this ROM, the C000, and you peek in a value, and you, based on whatever that value is, you could actually translate that into machine code or assembly just by doing a lookup table on what byte is stored and what the mnemonic is for it.
Yeah, so there are basic disassemblers actually out there.
Okay, so you could write a program to read through RAM or ROM and figure out what's there and visually display it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are ones that already exist if you wanted to look at them.
Yeah. No, it all starts to come together when you understand registers and memory and what all this crap means, right? So
I love it when a plan comes together.
Oh yeah.
So you see, Nick, I just made a tiny little program in EDTASM.
Right.
So this is what Zbug looks like in EDTASM.
And no, this is actually the editor.
Oh, you're actually editing right now.
Yeah, the first letter you see on the screen, or first character you see in the line, that tells you which one you're in. A number sign, you're in the Zbug debugger. The star, you're in the editor.
Okay.
That's 3 states, I think. There's a third one, I think.
So I just done this, which basically in the cartridge version, and Nick done an infinite loop to stop him crashing out. On the cartridge version, you just used software interrupt.
Now, I think I could have used that as well. It does have the SWI command as well.
Yeah, so what I want to do is assemble in memory absolute origin.
That went fairly quickly.
So yeah, it's only one instruction.
Is this what Simon is this what you use when you work on your MAD stuff? Do you use EDTASM or are you using something else like LWASM or something?
I use LWASM.
Not that crazy.
Did you hear that?
He's not that mad.
But right now we've assembled one instruction to free F00, so I could just in ZBug look. Okay, I've assembled this WI.
Okay.
Yeah, so hitting the Z key puts them into the ZBug mode, which is the number sign, but you can tell you're in ZBug, and then you can single step through. And at 3F00, he just assembled a program that did a software interrupt SWI, and now it's showing the result of it. Here's the actual disassembled version that shows SWI.
So if you wanted to single step through something, say something in like the basic, EDTASM cartridge itself, you could go like C000 and then a comma. And it says, I can't continue. No, you can't because you're in ROM. That's why it can't continue. It can't continue running its own ROM. But you can single step a program and you can just do like stuff like R for registers.
There's your A register, your B register. And this actually shows you what's in the register, huh?
Currently, yeah.
Okay.
It's basically the debugger, the part that I didn't learn. That's why my programs are so buggy.
So if you do this for a while, is it possible for you to just like freak out and stare at a bug on the wall or something, and just kind of
Of course.
And the more you stare at it, you start to see blonde, brunette, redhead. So,
And then eventually you'll start to see ants coming out of your C64.
Like everything, I mean, if you use something enough, you get used to the environment. So assembly language may look very foreign to someone who has never seen it before. But once you get in there and understand what things are, it then starts to look familiar after that.
Yeah, it's kind of like BASIC that way, because BASIC at first, I mean, it's more English, obviously, than assembly language is, but you'll look at some of those instructions like for. What the heck does that mean?
Yeah,
and then eventually you figure out it's a for next loop, how that works.
Some sort of digital foreplay or something.
Yeah.
You guys, this is what's happening while you guys are doing your stuff.
What is happening? Are you glitching us?
No.
Oh, what are you doing? You're looking at Zoom on your phone?
No. When he's doing the EDTASM stuff, that's what's going on the side. It's like a stuttering video.
And what are you seeing that on? You seeing?
Yeah, I don't know where you're seeing that.
It was next to the green screen when he had the editor up.
Okay, so I mean, did you just take that picture with your phone? You recorded it directly on your phone?
I took it with my phone because it was next to it. And it was a little bit distracting, but it was interesting to see.
Okay,
Curtis Boyle doing a dance.
Well, that was some people's minds just starting to explode from all the information. It was information overload. Yeah.
Probably should stop there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. I have never seen EDTASM before. I've heard about it, and it didn't suck. It definitely didn't suck. It was just a little bit. I'm a little bit spoiled because my first editor happens to be Notepad++. But one of the things I was trying to deliberate on is if I'm going to be basing something on the Barden book, and the Barden book is so heavily in bed with EDTASM and ZBug, how do I ignore that? And maybe I won't. Maybe I will force myself to go through the Barden book, and I'll try to get a better version of EDTASM though.
It's not as if you're writing any big programs, I suppose.
In that book, right? Yeah, they're probably all small examples, right?
The EDTASM's fine, in its most simplest way, without having to learn so many other things. You can then always move up.
Yeah. Because I've already got the environment. Set up,
it's still very similar. All the environment is still very similar, regardless of which assembly you use. It's just there's a few different features in each one, of course.
Right.
But basically, assembly language is assembly language. That's
right. That part I get.
Yeah, that's right. Basic is basic. Assembly is assembly. There's just that's how they are.
Yep. Well, that was cool. Thanks for sharing that. And so we ended up having a assembly coding segment.
Well, I think
anyway,
yes.
Yeah, so that's good.
Steve wasn't there. I thought, oh well, we need a core dump topic, so let's make that.
There we go. So
commercial dump.
my core has been dumped. All right, good stuff. All right, we'll take another commercial break and we'll come back. I think Ron has to go potty.
Oh,
all right, just tie a knot in it, Ron. So
we're loaded up.
We'll be back in just a minute, folks. Thanks, everybody.
Hey there, I'm Marco Rolzer, and you're watching CoCoTALK.
What's going on, everybody? Stevie Stroh, and I want to say thank you for continuing to watch and listen to CoCoTALK. We love doing this show. We think we've put together a pretty good show for you, but this show could be better with your help. So if you would like to send a feedback, a comment, a suggestion, a show topic, or maybe even your own little segment or bumper, then send it to us via email to cocotalk@cocotalk.live. This show would be nothing without you. Love to hear from you. In a world where hard drives rule and floppies are crap, one man, one legend, one old fart dared to learn the floppy. This is for the podcast people, and took the brunt of the jokes. Then EMP.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Oh, I remember that Christmas. Dad gave me my first shortwave radio from Radio Shack. What memories. This Christmas, we got our son's Color Computer 3 from Radio Shack. It hooks right up to our TV and was on sale for less than $130. The Color Computer 3 makes learning fun. Jimmy even lets me use it for word process when he isn't playing computer games. Lucky I still got my shortwave.
Save $70 on the sale-priced Color Computer 3, only at Radio Shack.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
And we're back. Thank you, Speech Sound Pack. All right, so we managed to talk about some things. We talked about, do you still have your original color computer? We talked about when did you get into the CoCo? Did you enter in late? Did you get in on the ground floor? And then we had a spontaneous EDTASM moment. I don't know if it was a moment. It was a segment. So, yeah, EDTASM has been slightly demystified. It's not as daunting as one maybe would have previously imagined. It's, you know, and if you worked on the Disk Extended Color Basic and you worked on Extended Basics Editor, it looks like it's almost the same, right? I for insert, X to get to the end, space bar to tap one character over at a time. Could you hit like 5 space and jump 5 spaces over, or to do that kind of stuff too?
I think it does. Do you remember, Nick?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I might give that a quick try in the background here. And
So if you're familiar with that editor,
I think it does. No, I think you got to use.
So it's just single space, but you're looking at not looking at a lot of information.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, you hit the right arrow key to jump over to the next
right
tab stop.
It keeps all your columns in nice vertical rows.
Okay.
So I've always liked that the nice clean.
Yeah. Okay. So EDTASM, kids, ask your doctor if EDTASM is right for you.
If you experience EDTASM for more than 4 hours,
yes,
you may need it surgically removed.
Tom C said we had an EDTASMic dump.
That's what she said.
Yes, and we
Simon's compiler is called MadTASM.
MadTASM.
and now people know after 30 years why I've gone mad.
Yeah, right. I'd still like to know where the wind sound is coming from. Some of us are muted, some of us aren't. I've been hearing this wind sound in the background the whole show. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me mad. So, There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I do have an extra special bonus clip for us to show post credits today. A little something extra just for the folks at home. We've been going on this for 2.5 hours now, and it's probably time to put us all out of our misery, but we're going to save some of this energy. We're going to save some of this EDTASMic energy for hopefully an After Dark later this evening. I'd like to squeeze in some group Dungeons of Daggerath playing this evening for those who are up for it. 9 p.m. Eastern Time, same channel, new time, later time. And before we start to wrap things up and you get to see the extra special post closing information, anybody have any parting thoughts, words of wisdom, things you want to share with the world before we start phasing out?
Probably need to talk about Tandy Assembly.
Tandy Assembly, thank you. I always forget. Because I'm just ready to end this. So yeah, let's do that real quick. How about we switch over to events? Thank you, Grant Leedy. That's why you were described in the roundtable as being the real brains behind the show. So on our events, let us not forget Tandy Assembly, which is at tandyassembly.com. For those of you not aware, right? So November 10th and 11th, 2018 in Springfield, Ohio. And you're going to be able to see these kids here hanging out, having a good time on their TRS-80 Model 1. The venue is at the Marriott Springfield, downtown Springfield, Ohio. Lance Mikolas is not going to be there this year, though, is he? So we've got Stuart Chaffee, our headline speaker. We've got Mike Yetzko, a Tandy Radio Shack engineer. We've got Jim McGinley. Is he one of the guys from Big Five?
What was it? Jeff, was it?
Jim McGinley from TRS-80 Games. So we got a bunch of people here. Thomas McLaren, the Tandy 600 fact. I don't even know what the my first question would be, what the hell is the Tandy 600? So, and that must be a portable convertible machine, right?
The Tandy 600 was Tandy's last non-MS-DOS machine. It was a clamshell type computer, had a floppy drive, and it had an LCD screen, and it was like $2,500. It was kind of cool, but nobody, it didn't run MS-DOS, and it was a huge failure.
So it was like a Model 100 on steroids in a sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So portable and interesting, but just it did not last, huh?
No, it was released way, it was like the MC-10. It would have been a great hit if it was released a couple of years before.
Yeah. A lot of exhibitors out here. Ian Maverick, Nick's neighbor in Australia. Everybody in Austria is Nick's neighbor, so you should know that, right? Peter Satinsky, Brendan Donahue, the CoCo VGA project, Eric Dittman showing off TRS-80 clones, Jason, the CoCo Man Reichert of CoCoMan.biz showing off the switcheroo and possibly an even newer top secret product. Who knows about that one? We got Jason Newworth of Newsoft. We got Thomas McLaren, Digital Dinos Retail Appearance. Richard Lorbieski of Boyson Technology will be there, fixing all of Jason's cables. And then we got Randy Kindig. Eric Canales is going to be there with Tandy Computer Demos. Evan Wright, author of Flood It, showing off his text adventure development system. Windy Systems. Paul Fiscarelli, Color Computer Floppy Disk Tools and Long Branch Never. Very, very cool. So we'll get to see his development environment. Hopefully he'll play his game. Neil Blanchard will be there. All right, Tandy 1000 TL3 and the Tandy Sensation. Jim O'Keefe will show off the TRS-80 Model 1. Reitveld, or Sent From My Phone, will be there. He's going to show off the Tandy Vision, which was Radio Shack's clone of the Intellivision. All right, Ken Edwards showing off Tandys and TRS-80s. Retro Innovations, Jim Brain. Peter Bartlett of Bartlett Labs, and Malcolm Ramey, and George and Peter Phillips, and Cloud9, and Arno Pewter and Sasha Harboring. All right, those guys were there last year too, showing off their stuff. So we got speakers, we got all kinds of stuff, right? And how far away are we? We're like pretty soon, right? Jim is not from Big Five, so Peter's still here. He's not from Big Five, Peter just says. 4 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So very cool. So you guys want to make sure you get this is the second annual Tandy Assembly. If you missed it last year, it's your chance to see it this year. Thank you for reminding me, Grant, because I always forget.
To correct on the Tandy Vision, that was actually, it wasn't a clone. It was actually the Intellivision with a Tandy label.
Just a wrong choice of words, but a rebranded, OEM'd, relabeled Intellivision.
Yeah, it was labeled a POS by the Depot repair people.
Was it manufactured in the same places as the Intellivision?
Yes.
So Intellivision just made the 2 boxes and put 2 different stickers. They put their sticker on one and Tandy's on the other?
That was it.
Okay, so Tandy didn't even assemble it?
No.
No, they just had it OEM'd for them and they put it on their shelves.
Yeah, and all they did is they warrantied it, and they had palletfuls of Intellivisions or the Tandy Visions. I had actually visited their repair depot in Fort Worth. This is in March of '83, and yeah, they had palletfuls of them. And,
wow. I mean, it's because it says Tandy on it. It would be nice to have in your collection, you know?
Right.
And apparently Henry Reitfeld's, he's got one and it works, and so it's kind of cool. There is a speech synthesizer for it that actually sounds halfway decent. And there is a game for that. It's called Bomb Threat, which is a kind of tie-in to the Rick Adams CoCo game. So there's a whole Tandy full circle thing going on here with the fact that Radio Shack sold it, and there's a Bomb Threat game on there. So kind of cool. It was dark brown, Nick Marotta says.
It had a wood grain finish or something, didn't it?
Yeah. What's that, Chad?
Tandy actually had a lot of rebranded gear. A lot of the pocket computers were actually rebranded Sharp.
Yeah, true.
Even their mid-drive VCRs were rebranded Sharp VCRs as well.
Okay.
The realistic brand ones. And there were a few other things as well. I just can't think of them right now.
Well, the Model 100, too, was not made by them. Their first portable system. Who made that? Kyocera? Yeah. Interesting. Cool stuff. All right, thank you for reminding me, Grant, to plug Tandy Assembly. My bad. I do apologize. What else? Closing thoughts, parting thoughts. Anyone? Bueller?
What about the? Have you talked about the voting results yet?
I don't know what the voting results are. Are they out?
For the Glen side?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been out.
Have they been?
Linville is now the new president.
How do we see that? Is that on tandylist.com or something?
No, I was
at
the meeting. I survived the.
You survived the meeting.
Yes.
Did you have a T-shirt and
Yes, I did.
Purple Heart or anything to go along with that?
Yeah, it's John Linville is the president, and Tony is the vice president.
Tony Pedraza. I thought he was not even in the running.
No, he decided to run as vice president.
You know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking too is that again, this is an afterthought, but you had like John and Eric Canales running for president, but it almost would have been like the 2 candidates who were running for president should have possibly also run for vice president too. So that way, like, let's say, the one who didn't make president could still potentially have had a chance to be the vice president or something. But I don't know how that trickle down economics things works. But yeah, so because I thought that John Mark Mobley was also in the running for vice president, and all right. So the whole idea of getting new blood into Glenside. Well, at least John is in there, but we still have some of the old blood, so it's not completely. A complete revitalization, but even a partial one is probably still good, right? So, all right. So John is the official president. Okay, round of applause for John Linville. All right. What else? What else was good at that meeting? Any other revelations? Did they upgrade their thermal printer or anything like that?
No, there was a lot of discussion about the future of the CoCo Fest. What the layout of the room. There was discussions about how to place vendors. And
maybe we were making it free.
Yeah, making it free.
Mission.
But again, it was all discussion, and it was going to be brought up in future meetings.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, cool. Then we have there's a little slice of revelation right there. That's cool.
Moving in the right direction.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Grant.
I said we're starting to move in the right direction for modernization.
Yeah.
Ron?
One little bit of news I was going to throw in is, I guess Microware's put out a public downloadable version of the OS 9 for current machines.
Yeah,
That James Jones and a few others have downloaded and started fiddling with. So I believe it's based on the OS 9000 from way back when. But
and you can run that like in a virtual box or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Ron, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it would be cool to see someone bring up and use, OS 9 Basic and fool around with it a little bit and see how it looks or works. I don't think I've probably brought it up, but never really did anything.
Some
with
basic 09 tutorials.
Yeah,
Are you putting your hand up, Curtis?
No, I am planning on doing that. I have to actually get some free time to actually start getting it set up.
See it.
Well, you've got one potential viewer right now, so that's more than I would have expected you would have had. So,
and Wayne Campbell will probably help a little bit with that too, since he knows these journals even better than I do. And there's also I want to do an OS 9 assembly at some point as well.
Yeah, that might be interesting for down the road. I am definitely interested in Basic 09, but it would be a side step to learning assembly, and assembly is to me there's more value in learning that, and that's my bucket list item. Basic 09 was never on my bucket list. It wasn't like when I was 14 said, "Man, I can't wait to learn that Basic 09." So
Hey, Basic 09, I view it's a faster, better version of Basic, but it's also the easiest way to write programs for OS 9 Nitrous 9. You can do assembly in C and everything else, Pascal, Logo, whatever else under OS 9 as well, but it's one that at least people have a beginning familiarity with, being familiar with Basic.
Right. And you had mentioned in the past too that you are working on things in ease of use, where it's going to be the underlying source code will be optimized, and you've added more libraries for it to take advantage of some of the more GUI interfacing and stuff. So, so the Basic 09 from ease of use will probably be the
so that'll be the basis of
the bestest one
quote,
to
unquote,
date
course, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Very cool. Anybody else got anything they want to mention before we start the closing ceremonies? Richard, you want to give us an update on new Boomerang boards and how they're going out, and are new ones available, things like that?
Oh, yeah, they're available, and I'm still working on doing the DAT board replacements, and I should be finished by the end of next week. I just been sidetracked with other stuff, but yes, everything is available and going according to schedule.
Excellent.
Are you still getting new orders too, or?
Oh yes, I'm definitely getting new orders. So
excellent.
I also want to mention. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
You go ahead.
I was just going to mention. I did. Snyder also mentioned on Facebook because people were asking about how many CoCo SDCs have been sold, and I guess it's well over 700, approaching 800 now.
Wow,
that's great.
Yeah.
We still have to get them out to a fest as a vendor at some point, so people can actually ask them questions and things. But
and the funny thing is we say that because for our own selfish reasons we want him there, but his lack of being there hasn't really hurt his business.
No, there's a lot of word of mouth going on there. But it'd be nice, like some of his other newer products, to show off. Like
and just to meet, just to meet the man in person, if nothing else, too. Definitely.
I mean, it's nice seeing Jim Brain when he's showing stuff that's not for sale yet, but he's been developing and kind of seeing what the putting the feelers out. How many people are interested in the 25 port MPI besides David Ladd. So
right. All right. Well, we're going to start phase 1 of the closing credits, but we've got a special post closing bonus clip for you guys today. So here comes phase 1. So get ready, folks. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. If you love the color computer like we do, then visit IMACoconut.com for all your color computer links needs. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, visit the Patreon link on our site at CoCoTalk.live. CoCoTalk would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholzer, Grant Leedy, Bruce Moore, Nick Marentes, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reichert, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Karen Anscombe, Simon Jonassen, Wayne Campbell, Steve Batson, Brian Joyce, John Strong, and Barry Nelson. Special thanks to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and Brian Joyce for our best of episodes and bonus content. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its contributors. The CoCo Crew podcast at CoCoCrew.org. Glenside Color Computer Club, host of CoCo Fest at GlensideCCC.com. Jim Brain and Retro Innovations at Retro.com. Tandy Assembly at TandyAssembly.com. Boyson Technologies at BOYSONTech.com. Get your own switcheroo at cocoman.biz and Cloud9 Technologies at cloud9tech.com. CoCoTalk is hosted by Steve Strobridge. Co-hosts, technical directors, segment hosts, and producers: Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Grant Leedy, Mark Overholzer, Ron Delvaux, and Jason Reichert. Production motivation, Steve Bjork. The CoCoTalk theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Schalar. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever, people. And let's not forget a very special thank you to Roger Taylor for getting us on the CoCo TV channel on Roku. The Three Muggeteers.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Take your pick. Yes. Nick Marotta says, it introduced you to structured programming. What are we talking about? OS 9 or?
Basic 09, yeah.
Basic 09. Okay. There we go. Basic 09. So the world needs its Basic 09. So we'll have it. And that would be, I would definitely like to do a version of Cosmic Aliens for Basic 09, but I would much rather start working on some assembly before I do that. But it's on my list, indubitably. So how many of us will be able to do an After Dark later on tonight? Anyone?
I'll be listening.
You'll be listening.
Yeah, I still got work. I don't know if I've said this the last 4 weeks in a row here. It's going to be my last weekend of overtime, but I've actually talked to all the individual people, companies that I do work for, and it sounds like this is actually the last weekend.
Okay. Excellent. Ron Delvaux, you're on.
Joining.
Yes, see my halo?
Yes, I do. It's a little bit better than the propeller hat, so yeah.
Yeah.
You almost look like a Roman warrior right now. You got the whole little gladiator centurion thing going on.
Well, he is Italian, right? And that's where Rome was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Grant, did you say you'll be able to make it tonight?
Yeah, I'll be on tonight.
Jason, is your hand still up, or did you just forget to put it down after?
I think it's stuck.
It's stuck. All right, I'm going to hit the lower hand button. All right, your hand has been lowered. All right. Chad, you going to be able to join us in a couple hours?
Possibly. It depends how smashed I am later. I'm supposed to be going to the markets.
Okay. And Paul Friscarelli says he should be able to join us for an After Dark. Diego says, I'll join you. Okay, so we got a couple people in the live chat. He will be here. All right, cool. So, yeah, I would like to get a group Dungeons of Daggorath thing going. Could use some help, some coaching, some moral support, and we'll see if we can't make it to at least level 4 this time. We have the ability of saving along the way, which is nice. All right, cool. Phase 2 of the outro, also known as the blooper outtake. So enjoy these, folks. We'll be back here in just a minute.
Yeah, I'll be there under protest.
Under protest, okay.
Jimenez, author of such projects such as the TV Throw Devil and the SD Pack. And you're watching CoCoTALk. 3, 2, go.
I'm behind you making faces.
Okay.
Do you have a script?
You're rolling, Curtis. You say whatever the hell you want to say.
Well, give me some kind of guideline.
Hi, this is Curtis Boyle.
Hey, this is Eric, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
All right, we're rolling. You say whatever you want to say, David.
Keep making faces at him.
David Ladd. Nation, world's leading weekly handy computer. Something like that.
Hi, I'm Tim. Playing Daggorath like that idiot from the book. You're watching CoCoTALK.
Thank you, David Ladd. Now get back up there 1 second.
Oh,
come on.
What?
Let's get some drive wire, TTL,
No,
ESP.
no, we don't need any drive wire or TTL. Hi, it's Chris Boyle, part of the CoCoTALK crew of people.
Hi, we're on Elbow Timberman. To experience Coco Fest, you must come. But I brought the only working MC10. I could not get an autograph. By certain someone you know. Oh well.
The world's leading weekly CoCo Talk show. Yeah, something like that.
Hi, this is Rick Adams, and I'm the author of Temple of Rom, Shanghai, and now Bomb Threat, and you're listening to Steve Stroh on CoCoTALK.
8-slot MPI, floppy drive, CoCo SDC, Sound Speech Pack, Orchestra 90, RS-232 pack, modem pack, Super IDE. You start adding all those together if you want them all usable at the same time. Well, guess what? You just went over the 4-slot MPI.
Lord have mercy. We don't want to go over that 4-slot MPI. And no truer words were ever spoken by David Ladd. So, Nick Marotta says I may join too. Nick Marotta. Also, before we go, let's acknowledge we still have 30 people holding strong. This has probably been one of the most well-received and tuned-in shows. Rob Inman's been here. Nick Marotta, Solstice. Chad Cunnington. Nick Marotta, Solstice, Nick Marotta, Rob Inman, Paul Fiscarelli, Registration was here, Al Hartman, Solstice, Al Hartman, Chad Cunnington, and Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Al Hartman was in here. Who else was in here? All kinds of people were in here. Registration, I'd like to know who that is. Kyle Eater was here, Paul Fiscarelli. Local H was here. Rob Inman was here. Chet Simpson was here.
Registration's probably from the DMV.
Yeah, Al Hartman. Davey Mitchell, our friend from the UK. James Jones. Paul Thayer. Davey Mitchell. Who else? Solstice. Tim Franklin. Paul Thayer says, what's up, you knuckleheads? And he says he got into the CoCo in like 1986. Al Hartman, James Jones, Al Hartman, Tom C. from Jersey, Local H, Solstice, James Jones, Solstice, Local H, Tim Franklin, Nick Marotta, Diego was here, Rob Inman, Nick Marotta, Local H. I think we're repeating ourselves now. Rob Inman, Registration. Steve Bjork was here. Nick Marentes was here. Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Tim Franklin, Richard Lorbieski, Grant Leedy, Peter Satinsky of the TR Sadie Trash Talkers was here today. Thank you for coming by, Peter. Steve Bjork was here. Ken Reichert, best known as the brother of Jason Reichert, was here. All kinds of people in the live chat. It's just taking me forever to scroll through all of this. So Tim Franklin, Rob Inman, and let's not forget Nick Marotta. Let's all give a shout out to the CoCoTALK orphanage where, Cocos go to die. And Timmy's going to get his wheelchair. And now, what I have prepared for you guys is a special super duper bonus clip. When you just can't get enough David Ladd. I have a little something extra for you. And if you were wondering what David was up to today, David, what did you do today?
Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff.
Okay, so he was at a McDonald's somewhere breaking the milkshake machine. So let's watch this special super duper clip, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Military
drive wire.
He had to wear long sleeves because you're going to make me look this up on snow.
Semi-graphic snow.
He was never in I was hoping it was right, but I didn't want to.
But what about it's something that no one's really ever thought of. I tried it, I wanted to practice it, but then I returned, and then I'm actually back in a text mode DDG. But it's like crap because it was the code for HR were already graphics modes, and it wasn't, and it's just
drive wire,
and that's one of the things why I said some of those display codes need to be in the specific modules rather than in VTIO, because then VTIO can be left alone. And then when you do the display, then it's handled by that. Those control codes are handled by that code module. Because right now, the only thing that Curtis has is...
like John Strong right there.
Really, are you recording this, Steve?
Not at all, David.
So what I was thinking is that you'd have the...
I like he was so oblivious to your trolling.
That was pretty good.
That was a little leftover from Coco Fest from this year. A little lobby talk there. And David's always on fire.
Perfect.
Yes.
Never loses his enthusiasm for acronyms.
Nope. And nothing's going to stop that guy. So, David, we missed you.
David lied.
Maybe we'll get David on After Dark tonight. All right, guys. Anything else? Have we beat this one to death? All right.
Yeah, I think we're done.
All right. So, Nick Marentes, thank you for our ad hoc assembly today and our little crash course on EDTASM. That was cool. Good stuff, guys. All right, so we're out of here. Thank you. Long live the CoCo forever, and we'll see you tonight later on. Peace out and goodbye, everybody. Press the button, Frank.
That's all, folks.
And let's not forget Rick Adams was here earlier today too.
Thank you. Yes, you're too kind, and thank you.
All right, and we're out of here. Bye now. Everybody, say goodbye.
Bye.
Say goodbye to say goodbye to Nick Marotta. Say goodbye, Nick Marotta.
Bye-bye.
Nick Marotta.
Goodbye, Nick Marotta.
All right, we're pressing the button, Frank.